miss out on what matters. Like that family movie night your daughter can't live without. Yeah, can't do that. Every year, millions of people in the U.S. get the flu. Especially now, no one has time to miss out on moments that matter. So get your flu shot. Find out more at getmyflushot.org. Brought to you by the AMA, CDC, and the Ad Council.
It may be the most noble profession.
Come on.
It's the work of heroes.
Heroes?
You want to live without plumbing?
Well, no.
Then you need plumbers.
Right.
Thing is, so do I.
You need plumbers.
Smiles, actually.
Smiling plumbers?
Or someone who smiles and wants to become an Apollo plumber.
A smile. That's what it takes?
Skills are something we can teach.
Sure.
But a positive attitude comes from within.
That's a big part of being an Apollo plumber.
The biggest part.
What else?
A desire to learn and serve.
Just like every Apollo plumber.
As they learn, so shall they earn.
Earn?
Apollo plumbers can earn 6 figures.
Enough to make me smile.
We believe you get what you give.
Give a smile.
And Apollo service.
Get a smile.
A well-paid smile.
Driving one of those big blue Apollo trucks.
That's the goal.
Does seem pretty noble.
It's important, satisfying work.
And you're looking now?
There's always room for another smile around here.
On the Apollo Plumbing team.
Apply at apolloplumbing.com.
Steel, walk behind, zero turn, and stand-on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow.
KIRO FM and HD1 Tacoma, Seattle. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Steel.
I'm Cammie McCormick. On Wall Street, investors are cheering the latest news on tariffs. The Dow is up 2,100 points.
What the market wants, the market gets. It can bully the Fed into cutting rates. It can bully Washington politicians.
Analyst Javier David. President Trump warned countries against retaliating for U.S. tariffs. Now he's rewarding them with a pause of sorts. And China will face even higher tariffs. Economist Gus Fauché.
This is a 90-day pause, so we'll have to see what happens over the next 90 days. And we still have a huge increase in tariffs on China. So, I'm cautiously optimistic that this means that prices won't go up as much, but there's still a lot that we need to find out about what's going on and what tariffs are going to look like over the longer run.
Correspondent Anna Corin in Beijing.
While President Trump is hoping to inflict pain on China's economy, he may be disappointed.
Over 97% of China's economy is other things but exports to the United States. And so, yes, it hurts in the short run, but China can probably ride this out.
HSBC Chief Asia economist Fred Newman says that China is far better prepared this time around to cushion the blow.
Federal judges in 2 states have granted temporary restraining orders, blocking the Trump administration from using a rarely used statute for deportations. CBS's Stacey Lynn reports.
The ACLU filed the lawsuits in Texas and New York in defense of 5 Venezuelans detained in facilities in the states. The men were identified as gang members by the Alien Enemy Validation Guide, which looks at tattoos, hand gestures, symbols, logos, graffiti, and manner of dress. But the men claim they're not part of the Tren de Aragua gang.
The acting commissioner of the IRS is expected to resign. More from Michael Wallace.
Melanie Krause is stepping down because she doesn't agree with the Treasury Department's decision to share immigrants' taxpayer data with the Department of Homeland Security. ICE says the new data sharing agreement will help it find people who are collecting benefits they aren't entitled to and people who are using someone else's identity. Advocates say the deal violates long-standing privacy laws.
At least 124 people died in the roof collapse of a nightclub in the Dominican Republic, but the search continues for others, and their loved ones can only wait.
We have some friends here, a niece and a cousin, who are under the rubble because they're not yet on the list of those who've been transferred to hospital or are known to have died. We're waiting for them.
Politicians, athletes, and a fashion designer among those who died. Hundreds more were injured. Officials still don't know why the roof collapsed. Recapping the numbers on Wall Street at this hour, the Dow currently up 2,300 points. This is CBS News.
Steel, walk behind, zero turn, and stand-on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow.
How much would you pay to use a dating app? That's one of the stories coming up at first from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk. In Seattle, 2 lanes are blocked on southbound I-5 on the Ship Canal Bridge. Travel time Everett to Seattle right now is 45 minutes longer than it should be. Take the detour if you can. In Renton, I think the crash is cleared from I-405 northbound near Northeast 44th Street. Travel time from Renton to Bellevue is close to normal right now. In Issaquah, maintenance work has closed 2 lanes on westbound I-90 between Southeast High Point Way and Highlands Drive Northeast. You are crawling through that area. Traffic brought to you by Buc-ee's. With available financing at Buc-ee's Complete Auto for oil changes, brakes, tune-ups, wiper blades, and factory maintenance, Buc-ee's.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Heather Bosch. Friends suspect foul play in the disappearance of an 82-year-old Tenino grandmother. Marcia Norman's been missing since April 1st. A neighbor who went to her home tells KIRO 7 TV.
Things weren't picked up, and she's a very neat person. There were, dishes soaking in the sink, that kind of thing.
The Thurston County Sheriff's Office says a handyman who had done work for Norman is now a person of interest in her disappearance. He's being held on an unrelated charge while detectives investigate. A family is mourning the loss of an 18-year-old after she was found unresponsive at a Skyway apartment complex last week. KIRO 7 TV's Samantha Lomibao has more.
Leajanique Petrie grew up close with 18-year-old Karma Cummins and her 16-year-old sister, 2 of 3 teens found unresponsive at the Crescent Point Apartments.
I was heartbroken, dropped to the ground because I spoke to Karma that same morning, so it was unreal,
Sadly, Cummins died at the scene. Petrie tells me she was just a month away from turning 19 and that she was a loving mother to her 2-year-old daughter.
Her 16-year-old sister has been released from a hospital. The third victim, a 14-year-old boy, is still hospitalized. 2 people have died in a house fire in Gig Harbor. Pierce County Deputy Carly Capetto says it happened last night.
Neighbors in the surrounding area reported hearing a large explosion prior to the home being engulfed.
Investigators are working to determine the cause of that fire. The first highway speed cameras in Washington go live this week. Starting tomorrow, they'll be tracking drivers who speed on stretches of freeway in Skagit and Spokane counties. This is a different program from the work zone speed cameras that are expected to be activated later this year. Whether you swipe left or right or you're searching for the love of your life, one state lawmaker is introducing a new bill to tax online dating. More from KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey.
State Representative Lauren Davis says she wrote the bill to help victims of domestic violence navigate the legal system,
which is entirely focused on the needs, wants, wishes, rights, and protection of criminal defendants and not victims.
If passed, the state would tax Tinder, eHarmony, or Match.com $1 per Washington user per month, totaling more than $10 million a year. The tax will go into effect January 1st. Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Partly cloudy skies with highs around 60. It's 54 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Spike O'Neill. Mike Lewis, welcome back, my friend.
Happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you. Jake Skorheim's taking the week off this week to spend a spring break with his beautiful young family. And I got to tell you, I had an experience this morning that I have avoided for quite a while, that I had in my mind vilified and built up to this dread.
You voted Republican?
I opened an import-export company. That's great. Thank you. No, but I have in the past, by the way.
Oh no,
I have in my life. Because there are common sense policy positions and perspectives on priorities that I agree with from a conservative point of view. But I like to be all over the road.
I didn't mean to distract you.
Not at all. No. I was just hearkening back to a happier time when we were a bright, shining city on the hill, and I voted Republican. So we had a little mechanical issue with my wife's car, and we've got a mechanic that we trust, and those are rarer than hen's teeth these days. When you find a local mechanic that you can rely on, and not that our local car dealerships have professional service and you can trust them. But we all know that there are far too many folks out there who will just do whatever they can to charge you every penny they can get their hands on when you take your car in for service. And I was never raised to be a mechanical guy, but that's another issue altogether. So I dropped my car off, and it's over in the Ballard area, local little shop. And I've done it before with the car. We literally bought it from a little old lady, I swear. One of those kind of cars. It was my aunt who, God rest
only
her,
drove it on Sundays.
God rest her soul. Yeah, we just lost her at 99 last year. And she had this little Volvo that literally was 15 years old with like 40,000 miles. I mean, the kind that took it to bingo and to get her glasses fixed. That was it. Anyway, dropped off the car. And in prior times when I had to take the car in for service, I would just, take the convenience of the Uber app and log on. Car would be there in a couple of minutes. I'd have my choice of, Uber luxury, Uber black, whatever the various iterations of Uber are with price ranges accordingly. But even in a base model, baseline, base service Uber, it was upwards of $40 plus to get from, Ballard to down here at Lake Union, on East Lake Avenue, where the KIRO studios are. And I'm thinking, it wasn't always that bad with Uber. I'm not sure whether it was the minimum wage that gig riders got in Seattle that raised the prices, or if it was Uber realizing finally that they couldn't operate at a loss forever and had to build in some profit to their business model, or they'd go away.
A little of both, yeah.
A little of both. Well, what I did was I took public transportation, which and I had all the stories we've heard about what a wild west it is on buses these. I expected to be seeing crazy people punching windows out, some secondhand fentanyl smoke, whatever it might be, a homeless lady living in aisle 5. And I got to tell you, I had the most amazing, wonderful experience riding Seattle Public Transit this morning.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
You should ride it more often. You could increase your sample size.
I could. And I've, and as we relate our lives to the city and share the news of the day with people who are living in the same cities we're living in, it's, I've had a horrible experience or a horrible perception because we bring you the news every day, but sometimes, as you know, in all news, when it's the bad news that gets the attention and gets the focus, and if it bleeds, it leads. Literally, I walked out and I didn't make the decision to ride public transportation. I was going to bite the very expensive bullet and grab an Uber to work. But as I walked out of the repair shop, I looked up a block and a half up the road was the bus coming down, and a half a block away was the bus stop.
So this is not unlike the President Trump's transportation secretary, Sean Duffy.
From Real World. MTV's Real World.
Who recently got on for the first time the New York subway, which he had been highly critical of. Got on. I don't think he actually said anything positive about it, but nothing negative happened when he rode the subway a couple of stops. And so you share something in common. You've now experienced something that had a bad reputation and found that maybe the bad reputation, while potentially deserved in some circumstances, is not overall deserved.
Absolutely true. The driver was helpful because I didn't even know where the bus was going. And I knew I was headed down this road, as was the bus. And I asked him, how far can this take me?
So you just picked a bus going the right direction?
The bus was coming my way.
A very junior bus rider.
Yeah. I'm talking about walk on first time, no research, no nothing.
Right.
But the bus driver was like, we'll go down to, to Capitol Hill, or excuse me, Queen Anne Hill. We'll cross over on Mercer, and then we'll head toward the downtown area. And I'm like, that's perfect for me. So I jumped on, and by the way, I didn't have an Orca card. I'm trying to tap the Orca, tap to pay thing with my debit card.
No,
and it doesn't work.
Right.
Luckily, I had a few ones in my pocket from my days busking. I'm kidding, but they take cash on the bus. This is great. I'm thinking fantastic.
They do not provide change, but they do.
They don't. And he said to me, because I was about to slip my third single in there.
Right.
He said, we don't provide. I said, that's okay. $3 instead of $2.75. It's my tip for your, for your great service and the personal service I'm getting from you, the bus driver. And I take it over to Seattle Center and jump off right down there on Lower Queen Anne by near a fine little local establishment that you take pride in ownership of, right? Is it the Streamline?
It is.
Okay, I hope you don't. That was not a paid endorsement. I'm not getting free beer at the Streamline from Mike Lewis.
And now that I know what you tip, I'm not really worried about that.
No, I got to tell you, as we keep sidetracking.
Quarter tip.
No.
He's still talking about it.
As we keep sidetracking, I am the guy when I walk into a bar, my first tip of the night to a new bartender is like a 20.
Good strategy.
Right? Because that way he knows me. He's looking
Right.
for me to serve. Anyway, get off the bus and I'm thinking, okay, now I got to get from Seattle Center down to Eastlake. And I'm, okay, should I call an Uber now? And I say, no, there is a fleet of Lime scooters and bikes there.
Right.
Just waiting for me. I'm like, okay, let's do this. It's a sunny spring morning in Seattle. You know, tap with my phone, blah, 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 log on my app. You got to boom, bada bing. Lie about having a helmet. First off, I'm going to own that with all the city.
Yeah, everyone does.
I know. And you're not supposed to ride.
I've yet to see a person with a helmet on.
And do you know that when you sign on to a scooter rental, they ask you if you have a helmet?
Yeah, they also, you probably experienced this. Was it a Lime scooter?
It was.
Did they limit your speed on it initially? Because sometimes when you're the first time login, they will actually there's an automatic
they'll govern
electronic
your
governor
speed at kindergarten level.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's essentially a slow walk.
It really is. Actually, I had ridden the scooter prior.
Okay.
In the same, I was going from work to pick up the car.
You'd already graduated to normal adult speeds.
I got adult speed
Excellent.
levels on the scooter, but I did ride dirty. You know, I rode without a helmet, and I'm very critical of that. I don't think people should be allowed to do that.
Yeah.
And I did it anyway, and it's just horrifically stupid thing to do. But I literally bussed to the center and then scootered from the center to here. And short of the ongoing, you know, excavation projects, they're trying to find King Tut's tomb out front of our station here, where I lost some access to safe bike or scooter lanes and or sidewalks for a while. I had a wonderful public transportation experience.
And so are we going to expect a similar story like this 2-3 years from now when this happens again? Or are you going to become an actual regular user of these sort of things?
You know, it's funny that you mention that because we live up north of the city in the Edmonds shoreline area. And since light rail has gone beyond the Great White North Gate and all the way up to Linwood nowadays, I'm contemplating becoming a daily light rail rider into the city.
You're in luck because if you get off on the Capitol Hill stop, it's a straight downhill walk, fairly fast one.
Yeah.
Straight downhill walk right here.
How long is it by scooter?
Well, that's back uphill.
That's
downhill,
back up, yeah, right.
Downhill is your problems are solved. Uphill, take a scooter.
That was the problem when the rental bikes first came to Seattle. At the end of every day, every bike was at the bottom of the city, and they had to get trucks to take them all to the top of the hill.
They still do that. They still redistribute them every night.
Well, I just want to, for all my apologies to the city of Seattle and Seattle public transportation, because I had thrown some mud. I had been a bad-mouthing kind of guy with regard to public transportation in this town, and it was a wonderful experience for me, and I want to thank everybody who has voted for, whether it be levies or transportation, you know, initiatives. Thank you. I benefited from this, and I look forward to doing it again.
All right, then.
Right?
I'll take that as a promise.
Thank you very much. One thing I don't do is, and I don't know I don't know much about you. I apologize, Mike. I should have done a little research. I'm not sure if you're a married guy or a single guy. Or if you're in a relationship.
Yeah, I'd say that.
You're not out there in the dating world these days.
I am not.
Okay. And I pity anybody who is, because I think it's hard.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Laura, I didn't want to bring it up. I didn't want to point you out.
You're trying so hard not to look at me.
I know. I know of your struggles. But Laura, you're actually a great resource in this. I don't know how prominent dating apps are these days with how people connect and how people meet.
Oh, I'd say 20% through friends, 80% dating apps.
Really?
Maybe even a higher percentage.
So the city's new, or the state's new proposal to tax dating apps, there may be some genuine revenue here?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, every person I know who is single, 20 to, 40 maybe.
And probably some you know who are not. I'm not casting any aspersions anywhere.
Fair enough. Well, Luke Ducey's joining us because he's got a story. It's going to be on mynorthwest.com about a new proposed tax. Is it a tax or a fee?
It's a tax.
It's a tax on social media dating apps and the people who use them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us more.
And Laura, real fast, the Pew Research, I would say, they think it's 3 out of every 10
oh, wow. So
adults
my
in the
estimate
US.
was pretty spot
really
on.
Close.
Yeah.
Really close. So
70-30? Yeah.
So my math is, I think it's somewhere. It's more than 1.5 million adults in Washington State are probably, not actively using it every day, but they belong to and they have used a dating app at some point. So let me ask you, anyone here? I mean, I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but I've been asking people all morning in the studio. Has anyone here used a dating app?
I've been happily married for 33 plus years.
That doesn't answer the question.
Nice catch, Laura.
Speaking for Spike for just a moment. Does that include like want ads?
What did he like services rendered, that kind of thing?
I'm not going to answer that.
I remember flipping through The Stranger back in the day. No, I'm kidding.
Well, let me ask you this: Would you pay tax if you a fee, because a lot of these are free.
Mm-hmm.
These dating apps. Would you pay a fee or a tax?
And I understand it's $1 per month. If this was a resource that I relied on to meet new people, and they're talking about $1 a month, to use these, and is that per app that you use?
Well, we'll get into it.
Okay. Because first off, if you're going to be shopping online, you want to shop at a bunch of different places through different apps to find the widest variety of a dating pool.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd be willing to jump in at the cost of $1 a month.
Okay. Well, State Representative Lauren Davis, who wrote this bill, explains how this tax would work.
The tax is on the companies, not the users. So the companies could choose how to manage that.
So the state would be taxing Tinder, eHarmony, and Match.com $1 per user per month. And those companies would then either absorb that tax or they could pass it on to their customers. Most likely they'll pass it on to the customers if this passes. But Davis estimates this tax will generate more than $10 million a year for the state. And all that money will then replace money the state has cut to fund domestic violence intervention treatment or treatment for perpetrators of domestic violence, but also for victims to help them navigate the legal system.
Which is entirely focused on the needs, wants, wishes, rights, and protection of criminal defendants and not victims.
So before we get into the debate, I wanted to add one more little thing in there because this is really interesting. Now, Davis is not making a connection between dating apps and domestic violence.
That was my first question.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
It was mine too when I was doing the story. And what this is all about is we need to make up money for domestic violence. How do we do that? And they just chose dating apps. Because the representative is also a victim of domestic violence. And she shared her story during a state committee during a meeting back in 2023. Here she was.
When his talking didn't work, he started threatening me. My abuser had 3 prior convictions for domestic violence. He was escalating rapidly, and he owned many firearms. My domestic violence victims advocate told me that I was at high risk for intimate partner homicide. So I packed up my things, and I fled.
Extremely vulnerable there.
Yeah.
And, it really shows that there is some real emotional impact behind this idea. If this dating app tax passes, it would go into effect January 1st of next year. So a lot to unpack there. And this is where I let you discuss because it's your show.
Mike, so you brought up a great point yesterday with regard to a potential tax and its intended beneficiaries.
Right.
Now, I understand that when something is listed as a tax, it can be moved from its initial purpose to the general fund and used anywhere the city wants it to.
Yep.
When it's a fee, it has to be dedicated to exactly the cause you're being charged. Like, for example, the state parks, it's a fee to get a park permit pass, and it can't be used for anything but parks and recreation. If dating apps are free, there's a question I have is this going to become, a fee service dating app, or would that be passed along to the advertisers who take advantage of these apps and the eyeballs that view them?
So I don't know. I'm going to have to defer to someone who uses dating apps, but so let me do that before I get into what my answer would be. So my assumption is that with a dating app, you get free to sort of like surf around, but if you actually want to engage or contact someone, you have to get a membership. Is that true or no?
No, it's not entirely true. Let's see. I've used what haven't I used? Tinder, Hinge, Bumble.
Right.
I will say to Spike's point earlier, it's usually the same people across multiple apps, so you don't usually get like a fresh pool. You can. They're all free to join and free to swipe if you want to. Different apps set different restrictions. So they all have a pro sort of membership tier that offers you more access to people or the ability to keep swiping for longer. the ability to send like a rose or a special message to someone you're particularly interested in, show up at the top of their feed. On Hinge, and I think a couple other apps as well, the ability to filter more aggressively for certain qualities you're looking for.
Teeth count.
But they're
I don't know, whatever's,
they need to add that one.
But FarmersNeedLove.com, sure.
So basically, you can use them for free just fine. All of them do have a paid membership option that makes
where the better looking
more,
people are.
Genuinely, on Hinge, they call it Rose Jail. They put attractive candidates in a special feed where you can really only see them if you give roses to them, which you have to purchase. Wow. Yeah.
Incentive programs.
Well, why not? I mean,
why not?
You got to monetize.
Yeah.
You know.
And if you're going to go looking for love, it's got to be worth $1.
So essentially, this would render the free version cost. It would now cost essentially if the companies pass it along. $1 a month. Yeah, that still seems like a pretty reasonable price.
It does seem like looking for love at all the wrong prices. That was a great country song.
I actually did win. I was part of a class action lawsuit on a dating app. Weirdly enough, right?
How
this is many years ago.
You bring this up as we're moving on?
No. I can make it real fast.
Please.
So many years ago, I am on one of the early apps just after Match started. I think it was Yahoo's dating site.
Okay.
I get a membership. I'm having very little luck. I'm getting ready to cancel the membership, and then just before I'm going to cancel the membership, I get contacted by somebody sort of plausibly cute. Like it wasn't super. It was in my maybe expected category, and we start talking like, wow, she seems great. And then I go to respond to the next day another text to sort of set up something and can't reach her. Turns out that they were gaming it with their own staff at Yahoo to lure you into re-upping for another month. And I did, and then got ghosted, right? I didn't know that this was a scam. And then I got contacted by a class action law firm, and I was part of this national settlement. I got $60 out of it.
Wow.
There you go.
Nicely done.
That's my only dating app experience.
See, it's worth it.
If you're worth it.
Exactly.
Luke Ducey, thank you so much. We're off and running, folks. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about Big Brother wants to know how fast you're going on the freeway, and it won't take a human to find out. Speed cameras are coming on your freeways. We'll tell you all about it next.
This hour is brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook at Muckleshoot Casino.
Harbor Freight knows time is money, so for our Spring Black Friday sale, we're getting straight to the deals. This weekend, you get 35% off jack stands, 56-inch roll cabs under $800, and 2,300 PSI electric pressure washers under $190. See? Straight to the point, so you can get straight to the savings. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight. Valid until April 13th, 2025 while supplies last. Limitations apply.
What if your business could see beyond what is and into what can be? What if you could create more impact in every decision? What if you had a partner as visionary as you are? With Bank of America, you get access to our trusted experts, real-time insights, and digital tools. So whether you run a local shop or a global enterprise, you're backed by business solutions to make every move matter. What would you like the power to do? Find out how at bankofamerica.com/banking for business. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
Hey, Spike O'Neill for Sharp Vision, Modern LASIK and Lens. And I got to tell you guys, it's the best decision I think I've ever made because I've always had great vision all my life. And then over the last 10 years or so, saw a little bit of decline, saw the need for readers, and decided it was time to go take a look at what could be done for my vision. I went to the offices of Sharp Vision, Modern LASIK and Lens over in Bellevue, had a thorough exam, and was told I was the perfect candidate for a refractive lens exchange because I had the beginning of cataract. And my diminishing eyesight was just the result of that. I had I had anxiety about it. I had questions galore. The staff there answered every single question, put me at ease, had the same staff from beginning to end. Went in for a simple procedure one afternoon and was home that night. Within 2 weeks, my vision had completely, not just recovered, but I've got superhuman vision. I've got 20/10 vision now, as opposed to never in my life having eyes that good. I see clearer. I see brighter. And if you think it's time for you to make the move to better vision, give Sharp Vision Modern LASIK and Lens a call at 425-451-2020. That's 425-451-2020 or online at sharp-vision.com. That's sharp with an e-vision.com. Official eye care providers of Sounders FC.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot,
all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile apps. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Mike Salk here, and you've probably heard me mention that Crawl Pros has a full-service pest control division called Pest Pros, and they can prevent bug and rodent infestations from reoccurring at your house. You probably also know that it's especially important to keep a close eye on any signs of pest intrusion in your home during the spring. Why? Well, let's start with rodents. They're at the peak of their reproductive season, so if just one makes its way into your house, it could quickly turn into hundreds, and then you've got damage to insulation, wiring, even structural features, not to mention they're disgusting and carry disease. You may also see an increase in bugs, especially ants this time of year, as they're just looking for food. But if you got kids, you know they leave food everywhere, so this can become an even bigger issue. If you have any reason to think you've got a pest problem, you want to take care of it quickly before you have a much larger problem on your hands. So call Pest Pros. They'll come in, do a free corner-to-corner inspection, just like they did at my house, and fix the problem. If you're worried that any type of critter is making a home of your home, call Pest Pros or visit gopestpros.com.
Hartley Wilcox here from Wilcox Family Farms. A question we get asked a lot this time of year is, how do the hens stay warm when it's so cold out? Of course, we have nice barns to protect them from the rain, wind, and snow. But also, their feathers are like a down jacket, and if they need additional warmth, they will often snuggle together. And for those very cold days, we have heaters to keep them comfortable and happily laying eggs. Wilcox is committed to organic, humane practices that keep our hens healthy and help preserve the land. When you choose food from local family farmers like Wilcox, you support the local economy with jobs and promote environmental sustainability, making it possible for our family to keep on producing great eggs for another 100 years. Pick up Wilcox eggs at Costco, Marlene's, and Hagen's. And for a healthy snack on the go, grab some ready-to-eat, pre-peeled, hard-boiled eggs in a convenient to-go 2-pack. Wilcox Family Farms, locally fresh since 1909.
Cars for Kids, your trusted charity for car donations, also accepts donations of boats, RVs, motorcycles, and real estate. Call today, 877-CARS4KIDS.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
CBS News special report. With all the concerns, President Trump has altered his tariffs again.
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid.
The Dow is up 2,700 points. Broker Teddy Weisberg.
The markets in general can deal with any kind of news. It can deal with good news, obviously. It can deal with bad news. But what the markets cannot deal with are the unknowns or uncertainties.
White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt.
There will be a 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs as these negotiations are ongoing, and the tariff level will be brought down to a universal 10% tariff.
Correspondent Ed O'Keefe.
The goal here is to now force conversation, negotiation over the next 3 months into early July. And if it's like anything else this administration has done, that deadline will move.
Again, recapping Wall Street, the Dow up 2,900 points. CBS News Special Report, I'm Cammie McCormick.
And I'm Heather Bosch. While the White House says many countries are scrambling to make deals to avoid or lower U.S. tariffs, China announced an 84% tariff on U.S. goods instead today. Former Washington governor and U.S. ambassador to China, Gary Locke, tells me
China is a very proud country. And they, again, don't want to be seen as capitulating to what they perceive as a bully.
He says Trump is unlikely to budge either, so he suggests a third country might have to mediate trade talks. Washington State Governor Bob Ferguson has told state lawmakers to redo their budget with fewer taxes. KIRO News Radio's Matt Markovich looks at how that's going.
Republican leaders like Representative Drew Stokesbury say Democrats are keeping their new budget plans a secret, and he commended the Democratic governor for being transparent about cuts first versus new taxes to balance the budget.
I sure hope that House and Senate Democrats don't think that they are going to try to roll the governor or don't think that they want to try to call his bluff, because that will send us into special session.
Lawmakers are prepping for last-minute votes on new taxes just before the session's scheduled end on April 27th. Matt Markovich, KIRO News Radio.
Tacoma Mayor Victoria Woodards is facing an ethics complaint. A resident tells the News Tribune he wants to know if it was appropriate for Woodards to take a trip to Israel last month that was paid for by the American Jewish Committee. No comment yet from the city or Woodards. On Wall Street, the Dow is up now more than 2,800 points. NASDAQ ahead more than 1,800. From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk in Seattle, all lanes have now reopened on I-5 southbound over the Ship Canal Bridge. Travel time Everett to Seattle is now only about 10 minutes longer than typical. In Issaquah, you have maintenance work for another hour or so that has 2 lanes closed on westbound I-90. That's between Southeast High Point Way and Highlands Drive Northeast, and traffic is crawling through that area. In Puyallup, construction has you slow on State Route 512 from about the Puyallup River to 31st Avenue Southwest. Traffic brought to you by Beacon Plumbing. For all your heating, electrical, septic, and mechanical needs, stop free and call Beacon. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Partly cloudy today with highs around 60. It's 54 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show. I'm Spike O'Neill. Jay Skorheim's off this week. Mike Lewis sitting with us today. Mike, I'm not sure how you feel about traffic cameras, speed cameras in particular, whether it's in school zones, whether it's in work zones. Proposed speed cameras in work zones are coming into effect later this month. I believe they can take into effect. But right now the state has announced a pilot program that's going to speed camera Washington drivers on I-90 and on I-5, but in very specific places. And they give and this I thought was a little odd, they give the exact places where they're going to do this. On I-5 South between Cook and Bow Hill Roads in Skagit County, and on I-90 East between Liberty Lake and State Line interchanges in Spokane County. Mm-hmm. And what they're going to try to do is these areas were picked because they were areas that had deemed to suffered from fatal crashes due to excessive speed.
Right.
And these aren't targeting cars. They're targeting individual cars, but not, how do I lay this out as succinctly as possible? It's one of those points where they measure the time spent between this point and that point.
Yeah, elapsed time.
Elapsed time. Thank you very much.
And this is weirdly enough, I'd seen this a few years ago in England. They pick a point, and then the computer automatically estimates how long it should take you if you're holding the speed limit to get to point B. So it then does a sample. It's a very accurate way of finding out whether or not you've been speeding.
And this is, again, a pilot program funded by a $1 million funding pilot program from the Washington legislature. And it's not a ticketing event. This is to find out how fast people are going on these roadways.
Right.
It's going to run through the end of June. And if you are speeding in this area, you'll get a warning in the mail.
Right.
It's right to your mailbox. And it's going to be successful. It's going to find speeders. It's going to mail us warnings. And then they're going to start bringing it into
the fines.
Daily use.
Yeah.
Here come the fines.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little mixed. Generally speaking, the way you make this more palatable for everyone is you essentially convert it into a really expensive road tax, right? Because you're not getting any points on your driver's license. You are just paying a fee for speeding. And so they're a very effective way of raising money. They're not necessarily a very effective way of discouraging. They somewhat discourage speeding, but really the thing that's always discouraged speeding is points on your license to lose your license.
Long-term negative effects.
Right. Yeah. This is not going to do that. And that's the way it also gets much more palatable. If they decided to put points on your license and there has been talk about that would get much more pushback from the legislature, because then you're starting to get into situations where people are going to be fighting these things because the cameras don't always show who is driving, things like that. So this makes it sort of essentially a fast driving fee associated with your license plate.
So unless they make that fee so painful that it will slow people down.
I've gotten a couple, and in Seattle, because
Well,
there are also
got a couple is like school zone type tickets.
Yeah, speeding in those, and those are $140, something like that.
That's painful to a lot of people.
I agree. I mean, is it going to calibrate my driving? I mean, I'm guessing if I'm aware that they're there. Sometimes in both cases, I didn't know I'd gone through a traffic cam, and so in these cases, I'm guessing that it will probably have some effect. I do have a concern about, I don't know why you wouldn't just start doing the fines right away. It's certainly legal in Washington State to do so because, there's going to be some Yahoo out there who wants to see how high of a warning they can get, And I hope that doesn't happen because obviously that's pretty risky behavior.
It really is. I don't mean to laugh. Will the warning count as your first offense if you pick up once it goes to fining?
Well, where they're going to take it, other than raising money, is unknown at this point, right? They could take it further than that. It is going to be problematic to do so. But I will tell you that if they mimic what I saw when I was in England a couple of years ago. It will be on most roads. There it was everywhere. Yeah. Everywhere you went, that speed was being enforced. And I kind of wondered, why are people driving so relatively slowly? And it turns out that's exactly why, because those traffic cams are everywhere. So my guess is that if you think that this is going to be limited to your trips to and through Spokane or Skagit County, I would say that this is a very, very cheap way. You do not have to add any patrol people. You raise a lot of money. This is going to be moving pervasively through Washington State. That would be my guess.
Isn't a cheaper way to get the same effect one of those plywood cop cars? You ever seen those where a municipality will put out they'll park an out-of-use service vehicle or a service cruiser. Right. When you see a cop car up ahead on the side of the road, you will slow down. I mean, that's a pretty low-tech, low-cost way to get it done.
There's a variety of ways they can do this, but you know what that car doesn't do?
Pull people over, chase people.
No. What? More importantly, for purposes of this discussion, it doesn't collect a fee.
There you go. That's what it is.
And then there's no real reason to put that thing there.
Yeah.
This is something that actually is going to generate money, as every conversation about the state is always going to involve this deficit we're facing. Yeah. All of these things, from dating apps to traffic cameras, are all about one thing: money.
Making money. So let me ask you this, because we also have received a couple of those school zone tickets, and there's a place that says if you aren't the driver, there's a place to check on the back of the ticket if you're not the driver when the camera took the picture of your car. Right? But you have to tell them who was driving.
Right. You have to drop dime on someone.
Right. Or it goes on your license. Right. Why wouldn't the highway speed ticket be the same thing? I mean, if it's your car, it's registered to you.
So the school zone ones that's the bridge that build it to, so I don't know if all of the school zone ones then become a point on your license. I know that they all involve a fee.
Right.
I don't know that all. It could be.
I don't think my insurance agent to find out if my wife's license.
I think mine were not. I think the worry that people would have and should have in this particular case. Let's just say they don't put it as a point on your license, but let's say they do make that data available to your insurance company. Suddenly, that gets very, very, very expensive.
Yeah, it does.
Could they do that? Conceivably, I don't know. But if I were the state and I was thinking about, oh wow, I wonder if we could sell this data to insurance companies and generate even more money, will we do it? Of course they would.
And if I'm an insurance company, I would almost demand that information from the state.
Yeah, because insurance companies are really not so much about lowering things.
No. And they're about mitigating
endless
risk.
Escalation.
Yeah,
right?
And if you're a high-risk driver who's speeding, getting all these fines but no points,
right?
Insurance company, it behooves them to know who the irresponsible drivers are.
Yeah.
Well, they're coming this weekend. They start this weekend, I should say. Start tomorrow, and they'll run through the end of June. I'm a little surprised that they put the exact locations out there. Isn't the idea to say anywhere in this state this weekend you could be getting a rate of speed? What'd you call it again?
A lapse time.
A lapse time ticket in the mail, and it's a warning now, but it's going to become a fine very soon. The thought of being monitored is what slows people down from doing bad things anywhere. Shouldn't the whole state think they're under the camera this week or this month?
My guess is this is the rules they had to agree to do a pilot program.
Get the pilot? Okay.
Yeah, so but I don't expect that it's going to stop here.
It never does.
Yeah.
Let me ask you about this. Laura pointed out a story to me that it's not just me. The headlights are brighter these days on cars.
Very, very, very much so.
And I was mentioning I had refractive lens exchange, and since then all my lights are brighter. I thought it was me. That cars these days, especially at night, have been blinding. with their headlights. But it's not me. It's the newfangled, LED lighting in cars or whatever it may be.
It's
halogen lighting.
Yeah, the LED lighting primarily.
Is it a danger to anybody else? Because
Yes.
I get blinded by headlights.
So the one point in that article, I thought that was a good one. It's difficult. I mean, generally speaking, I do what everyone else does. You sort of avert your eyes slightly, and you have that like 2 or 3 seconds of just like, man, I hope I didn't see anything there, so I'm hoping nothing remains there. The real danger, though, is the pedestrian. Like if someone is running across the road and you do not get the capacity because your eyes are not functioning well with bright headlights, if someone darts out or an animal darts out, there's no way to see them. And I think that is really I would hope that the National Highway Transportation Safety Board would figure out some way to restrict this a little bit.
And there's got to be a penalty, a fine for people who have excessive. You can't tint your windows to a point where an officer can't see inside your car, but you're allowed to have headlights that can blind opposing drivers and put pedestrians at risk.
Apparently so.
It's just not just me. I thought I was going great.
It's not just you.
I'm so glad. All right, when we come back, we'll talk about the fashion trend of the moment. And you know how they say all things old are new again? Everything comes around if you wait long enough. What used to be the most embarrassing social additive to your appearance is now popular and trending, and influencers are doing it. We'll have right after these, the Jake and Spike Show with Mike Lewis. Don't go anywhere.
Need a new roof, a deck, siding, windows? Get up to $3,000 off any new installation. Hi, it's Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. Home projects can add up fast, but we're here to help you save big. Book now and lock in up to $3,000 off in savings. That's $3,000 off any new installation. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com to schedule your free estimate today. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
Old windows cost you money and security. Lake Washington Windows and Doors installs energy-efficient, high-security windows that lower your bills and increase protection. With leak armor installation and lifetime warranties, you're protected for life. Choose LakeWashingtonWindows.com today.
Right now, have ultra-efficient, clean technology windows installed and pay zero down with zero interest and zero payments for 18 months. Only from Lake Washington Windows and Doors. And they'll even pay your sales tax. Visit LakeWashingtonWindows.com.
Was drafted in 1999 by the Philadelphia 76ers, and that was just absolutely a dream come true.
Todd's playing in the NBA is unique. His battle with neuropathy is not.
I first started noticing problems a couple of years into my NBA career, and I felt like my sock was just balled up right in the arch of my foot, and there'd be areas of burning and tingling, and then there'd be other areas of deadness where there would be no response to touch. We tried everything possible, from surgery to different drugs, to try and take care of some of the symptoms.
I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic physician and board-certified functional neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. Our neuropathy treatments can rehabilitate damaged nerves. We use FDA-cleared, non-surgical, non-drug, pain-free procedures that have helped thousands of neuropathy sufferers find relief.
Now I'm able to spend more time doing the things that I enjoy, being on my feet.
If you experience numbness, shooting, or burning pains, or loss of balance, call us. Sound Pain Solutions, 855-996-0025, or click soundpainsolutions.com.
You've seen the headlines. Budget crisis, government emergency, billions of dollars short. No, not the federal government. It's happening here in Washington state. State tax revenues are at record highs. Over the next 4 years, tax revenue is on pace to grow by $10 billion. But current spending will outpace that revenue growth by $12 billion. Want to learn more about the growth of state taxes and spending over the last decade? Visit budgetbreakdown.org.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, I'm Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft, and we've got an offer you're not going to want to wait for. We'll custom build you all new cabinet doors and drawer fronts, and using our exclusive 1/4-inch solid wood refacing process, transform your existing cabinets into a beautiful new kitchen. Add a custom quartz countertop, change things up a bit, add some more cabinets, install some cool new features like soft close drawers and sliding shelves. Whatever you like, we'll help you create the new kitchen you'll be proud of. All in about a week, and all with way less mess, hassle, and expense than a tear-out. Stop waiting. We're having a trade-in sale. You'll save $30 per door and drawer front off the cost of your new kitchen. Count them up and see how much you'll save. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Call today and let one of our pros come out and show you how easy and comfortable it'll be to get going on your new kitchen. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
We're here with our friend Steve Teitler of Best Mortgage, the reverse mortgage expert. Steve, mortgage rates have been dropping this year. How could that help seniors struggling to stay in their homes?
Lower mortgage rates means seniors can now get more money from their equity with a reverse mortgage. You can pay off your existing mortgage, have extra money to help with today's high cost of living, or believe it or not, you can even buy a home with a reverse mortgage. There are many uses, and best of all, you have no mortgage payments the rest of your life.
But as you always say, a reverse mortgage is not for everyone.
That's right. Avoid the high-pressure sales pitch from those out-of-state call centers. I give you a consultation, not a sales pitch. I'll tell you if a reverse mortgage is right for you, and I always tell you if it's not.
Honest advice you can trust from the reverse mortgage experts. Best Mortgage, the VA loan experts and debt consolidation specialists too. 425-649-6000. Best Mortgage, 425-649-6000.
I've always been an athletic guy, but after turning 40, I noticed I was slowing down. I booked a free testosterone check with Revive Health and learned that low T doesn't just impact my performance in the bedroom. I've been following a custom treatment plan ever since, and today I'm feeling stronger and more confident than ever.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, text BOOST to 65555 or visit ReviveMensHealth.com to schedule your appointment. Message and data rates may apply. Message frequency varies. Text help for help. Text stop to cancel. See privacy policy at ReviveMensHealth.com/privacy policy. For info on how opt-in info will be used and terms and conditions at ReviveMensHealth.com/terms of use for terms of short code service.
From groceries to home prices, the cost of living in Washington state keeps going up. Now, Olympia politicians are proposing the largest tax increases in state history. Don't be fooled. If taxes go up, we'll all pay even more. Washington needs lower costs, not higher taxes. Tell the politicians no by visiting www.affordablewashington.org. Paid for by the people for an affordable Washington. Top 5 contributors are Washington Alliance for a Competitive Economy, Microsoft, Madrona, T-Mobile, and Amazon.
Charlie Harder here. When your hot turns to cold, you better think fast. Fast water heater. Call 1-800-THINK-FAST. That's 1-800-THINK-FAST or fastwaterheater.com.
You better think fast. Fast water heater.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on mynorthwest.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
Welcome back to the show. You know, everybody loves a beautiful smile. And lately, the trend is that braces are making a comeback. And there has been technological advances in teeth alignment, whether it's the Invisalign, the invisible trays that many people use these days to avoid having to wear braces for years, 3 years on end, but usually. Most people go through this stage very early in their life. A lot of people, when they get to adults, always wish they had, and so have to make the decision to finally get braces. Well, according to the Washington Post, it's not just back; it's becoming a trend. In fact, people are opting for braces who don't even need them. There are people who go and find fakes, secondary aftermarket. I don't know the right way to put this, but props. What is it?
A grill?
A grill, yeah. And not just the flashy gold or the bedazzled or bejeweled, but old school brace face, metal mouth. Stainless steel braces are making a comeback.
I mean, choosing the colors for my braces in elementary school did feel pretty flashy to me.
You're talking about the rubber bands?
I had braces like 2 times growing up. You could do like Halloween colors. Like they give you like a whole little thing to pick out.
Andrew Shaken said
we didn't get any of that.
You did the same thing?
Yeah, up until high school. I think I had them for 2 or 3 with the rubber bands for a time. I think I was blue and green were the colors I had.
You went Seahawks.
Seahawks.
I was a Seahawks fan back then.
Yeah.
Man, they were pretty brutal, but getting them off is such a great feeling.
That's the thing. Don't kids just wait for the day?
The main point was to get them off before your senior photo. When I had braces for years, probably.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't remember. Maybe 5 or 6 or 7. I mean, like a bunch of years.
No kidding.
Yeah, but back then, the braces technology wasn't as good. You'd have to go in for your occasional tightening, which was always torture.
Yep.
But what I really want to see a comeback on is headgear. That's the thing. That's the thing. I know
you were committed to the look.
We're not jumping the shark until we get to headgear.
Headgear is bad. Designer headgear.
Exactly.
With your
Louis Vuitton headgear.
Louis Vuitton headgear. Exactly.
You know, we make jokes, but I guarantee you, someone's going to work.
I give it a year.
On a red carpet or a runway somewhere, and here it comes. Well, you know, both my kids had braces. My wife had braces when she was younger. My wife had braces when she was an adult because the realignment had shifted over time, and she wanted to do something for a smile. I never had braces in my life, and it wasn't because I had great teeth, because my parents couldn't afford braces. Plus, I was born in the age of Letterman, and the front gap in my front teeth had become popular.
Point of pride.
Yeah, point of pride. But nowadays, there are social media influencers, big-time influencers with millions of followers who have gone to these stainless steel braces. And people are not just getting their smiles corrected, which is wonderful. Everybody should do whatever they can do to make themselves feel better about themselves and promote self-confidence. But people are wanting to just have that look of a braces smile, to the point where they're going on and buying home strap-ons, which have found to be, sometimes they're made of unsafe materials. People are poisoning themselves with lead, buying them off of Temu or wherever. People are injuring their teeth, injuring their gums, injuring their lips, getting cut.
Well, they're so uncomfortable that I'm confused about them coming back at all. But I guess a lot of fashion is uncomfortable, right? Like that doesn't really stop people.
I was going to say, you're surprised that people will do things that are harmful to themselves for fashion?
No, I guess I'm not. Is that the fact that is the look people are chasing? Is there a youthfulness to braces when you're in your 40s and you got braces on your teeth? Does it make you feel like
people think you're younger?
A teenager again?
Tattoos became common.
Tattoos
it's braces next. I mean, we're going to hit, I don't know, amputations or something soon. Like we've got something that is going to be different than what everyone else has done.
Oh, my
And I guess
gosh.
we're now at the braces point, and you know, hopefully maybe we just sit there for a while.
A whalebone peg leg. They're making a comeback up in the New England area.
Whatever it takes.
If you do want to get braces, make sure you go to a reputable orthodontist. And if you want to go in the aftermarket of braces, please don't buy the lowest price available. Don't bargain shop.
Medical grade, people.
And definitely not used. Refuse used.
Don't buy them on Poshmark, whatever you do.
Exactly.
All right, folks. It's the Jake and Spike Show with Mike Lewis sitting in. When we come back, we're going to avoid the big weird stories of the day, like your 401k is back. By the way, it's good news. You can find out about all that in the news coming up at the top and bottom of the hour, every hour. Seattle Police Department's social media posts are given a less than favorable light, shining a less than favorable light on the city. And we'll tell you about a great piece that Danny Westneat wrote in the Seattle Times when we come back.
The preseason AC sale is on now at Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. This month only, keep your home cool and your wallet comfortable with 15% off. Plus, free financing on all air conditioners, heat pumps, and ductless systems. Trust the team voted best in the Pacific Northwest and call Bob's today for your free estimate. Hurry, the discount reduces to 10% off in May. Call Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning today.
Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. Call Bob. Cold is leaking and rats are moving and mold is creeping and water seeping in. It's hard to be a homeowner, we know.
Without American Crawl Space and Pest Services, it is hard to be a homeowner. Dave Ross here. American Crawl are the heroes to call for insulation and pest issues because in addition to their great reviews and decades of experience, they also give out the most PSE insulation rebates of any insulation company in the state.
American Crawl, the heroes you call.
Get your free inspection at AmericanCrawl.com.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But this one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. Oh, one last number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Meanwhile, at Xfinity.
So, influencer life going well?
Oh, yeah. I'm up to 32 followers.
Oh, that's something.
Yeah, posting my tap dancing videos is easier than ever because we engineered Xfinity Internet with 99.99% network reliability.
Plus, Xfinity Mobile with Wi-Fi Power Boost gives you ultra-fast Wi-Fi at home and on the go. But wait, tap dancing? You don't tap dance.
Hey, what I lack in skill, I make up with passion.
Do more of what you love and love how fast you do it with Xfinity Internet and mobile. And now through April 21st, get 300 megabit Xfinity Internet and one unlimited mobile line together for $25 a month for 1 year and save $1,000 in your first year over Verizon and AT&T. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Savings compared to Verizon 5G Internet plus one unlimited welcome line and AT&T Internet 300 plus one unlimited starter SL line. Xfinity Internet required. Actual speeds vary. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary.
Hi, I'm Jim Singletary, Chief Roof Nerd at RoofSmart. You've heard of rubber playground surfaces, rubber walkways, and rubber mulch, but have you heard of rubber roofs? At RoofSmart, we install the most durable, eco-friendly rubber roofs, a unique product for those who want a high-end look like slate, are concerned about tree branches and falling debris, or if you want a roof that truly stands out in the neighborhood and lasts upwards of 50 years. Just like those rubber playground surfaces, our rubber roofs are impact resistant, allowing fallen tree limbs and other wind debris to bounce virtually right off them and keep your home safe. Good luck getting this from some regular roofer. Nope, our regular roofs are made from 100% recycled tires. The average roof keeps about 300 tires out of landfills. And as always, you get our unbeatable warranties and meticulously detailed installations when you replace your roof with us. For your free rubber roofing estimate, dial 206-487-4877. Visit GetRoofSmart.com today. That's 206-487-4877 or GetRoofSmart.com today.
Steel walk behind, zero turn, and stand-on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio, KIRO FM, and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Steel.
I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump admitted people were a little bit afraid about his tariffs, so he's changed the plan for now, and the markets reacted. Broker Teddy Weisberg.
I've never quite seen the kind of volatility that we've seen the last 3 or 4 trading days, both on the negative side and clearly today on the plus side.
The Dow finished 2,957 points higher. The president insisted things could still change.
Nothing's over yet, but we have a tremendous amount of spirit from other countries, including China. China wants to make a deal. They just don't know how quite to go about it.
CBS's Linda Kenyon at the White House.
The president is pausing trade tariffs on most nations for 90 days. Speaking outside the White House, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that's because those nations did not impose tariffs against the U.S.
As I told everyone a week ago, do not retaliate and you will be rewarded.
But China did retaliate. So in return,
China will be raised to 125 due to their insistence on escalation.
Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
CBS's Margaret Brennan on the president's change of heart.
As one investor said to me, the White House pulled the knife out of their own heart. This wasn't a victory. We did hear from the Treasury Secretary promise of future negotiations with the Japanese and the South Koreans. But CBS reporting to this point is that there isn't really a negotiation underway. There are talks about having talks.
Judges in Texas and New York have temporarily barred the administration from deporting Venezuelans jailed in those two states, while their lawyers challenge the Trump administration's use of the Alien Enemies Act. Legal analyst Laurie Levinson.
You're going to see, I think, more lawsuits like this across the country wherever the government is holding individuals that they seek to remove under this old law.
Many residents in waterlogged Kentucky are still trying to get to their homes. The floodwaters have left behind a lot of destruction.
It's just sad that we can't have school because of all the flooding. People can't leave or they don't have a home.
Correspondent Michael George reports workplace stress is on the rise.
Despite more funding for mental health care at work, employees are becoming even more stressed. A study by the European Psychiatric Association found workers say deadlines and demands placed on them are worse than ever, and many fear their jobs will make them sick. Young people in particular seem to be more vulnerable to work-related stress.
Checking the numbers again on Wall Street at the closing bell, the Dow was up more than 2,900 points. The Nasdaq and S&P 500 up as well. This is CBS News.
Steel walk behind, zero turn, and stand-on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow.
Tax the wealthy, not so fast, what state lawmakers are saying now. That's coming up, but first from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, a disabled vehicle's blocking a lane on I-5 northbound at Seneca Street. Travel time on southbound I-5 through Seattle is still about 10 minutes slow due to an earlier issue across the Ship Canal Bridge. In Issaquah, maintenance work has 2 lanes closed on westbound I-90 between Southeast High Point Way and Highlands Drive Northeast. Traffic crawling through there. This should wrap up, though, by 2. In Puyallup, construction has you slow on State Route 512 from about the Puyallup River to 31st Avenue Southwest. Traffic brought to you by Lake Washington Windows and Doors, offering premium windows that are 25% more efficient and reduce outside noise by 50%. LakeWashingtonWindows.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon, I'm Heather Bosch. It sounds like Democrats who control the state legislature are giving up on one of their key ideas for fixing the budget deficit. Representative Jamie Peterson.
It's very likely that no part of our budget will be based on the wealth tax.
Governor Bob Ferguson had told them they could not craft a spending plan around a wealth tax that likely would not hold up in court. Lawmakers are trying to fill a $15 billion hole in a budget that would spend a record amount. Under a bill that's passed the State House and Senate, teenagers could not be charged for inciting prison riots.
The Green Hill School is said to be a violent juvenile detention facility in Chehalis and in Republican Senator John Braun's district.
Just last week, there was charges for a 25-person riot at Green Hill.
House Bill 1815 ends a potential extra 10-year prison sentence for teenagers starting fights and mayhem because it was too harsh, say supporters like Democratic Senator Claire Wilson.
Juveniles would be charged with other more specific offenses
like assault, escape, and arson, and they could have any previous riot charges removed from their record. Matt Markovich, KIRO News Radio.
We're hearing from the family of 2 sisters who were found unconscious at a Skyway apartment complex last week. Their cousin tells KIRO 7 TV.
They were my first cousins, but they were like my sisters, my daughters.
18-year-old Karma Cummins died at the scene. Cummins' 16-year-old sister has been released from a hospital. The third victim, a 14-year-old boy, is still hospitalized. King County Sheriff's deputies have a suspect in custody after a shooting near Sequoia Middle School in Federal Way yesterday afternoon. The victim was rushed to Harborview with non-life-threatening injuries. The Thurston County Sheriff's Office says a handyman who had done work for an 82-year-old Tenino woman is now a person of interest in her disappearance. KIRO 7 TV's Jason Sloss has more on the missing grandmother.
82-year-old Marcia Norman disappeared from her home near Tenino April 1st. Norman was supposed to meet her next-door neighbor for a nail appointment the next day, but didn't show. When Ron Culpepper and his wife couldn't reach Norman by phone, they went over to her house the following day, but no sign of her.
Her purse was there and her wallet with some money and credit cards.
He says they then called sheriffs.
Detectives say the person of interest is being held on an unrelated charge while they investigate. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Partly cloudy skies today with highs around 60. It's 55 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show. Jake Skorheim's out for the week on spring break with the family. Mike Lewis filling in. Glad to have you here, Mike.
Glad to be here.
So I understand you know Danny Westneat. Is that what I'm hearing in the grapevines?
Yeah, we've known each other for a while. Sure.
He has. I have often reached out to Danny Westneat to come and be a part of the show, and I understand that he's a busy man writing great pieces for the Seattle Times. If you can ever put a kind word in for this show,
I will do so.
Because I think Danny Westneat is a treasure here in Seattle. Local writers, local journalists are a vanishing breed, given the de-evolution of media. And for somebody like Danny to care about the city and write about the city and speak to the problems the city faces, it can't be undervalued. Danny's piece today in the Seattle Times addresses the Seattle Police Department Officers Guild and a recent trend by its officers to post on social media. And let me just read it from the piece. Recently, Seattle Police Officers Guild came up with a fresh new way to show what they really think of the city they work in. On social media accounts, they've taken to using the slogan, "This is Seattle," as a catchphrase to sum up almost any crime. No other explanation needed. "This is Seattle," the cop union wrote over a recent report about a man arrested for child pornography. "This is Seattle," they wrote over a video of a driver shooting a BB gun at a Ballard homeless encampment. "This is Seattle," about gunfire in West Seattle or other shootings on Aurora or about a Tesla being burned, about an attempted robbery, all these things. And then Danny goes on to cite some very encouraging statistics about the reduction in the crime statistics in the first quarter of this year. And the question that jumped to my mind after reading this is, what is the goal of the Seattle Police Department's officers and the officers, the union, who are work on behalf of these guys, for? Why are you running the city down? What's the upside of doing this? Is it an effort to say we need more help? Because there's been an ongoing effort to fill the depleted ranks of the Seattle Police Department. And that's a common problem across the country in every law enforcement community, coast to coast.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, of course, part of it is to underscore the necessity of having a fully staffed police force in a city the size of Seattle. And so I think that that has always been part of the union's objective, to get better working conditions, to get more money, and to get more police. I mean, that's not inconsistent with the way where the union has been all the time. I do think I liked Danny's column a lot, because I do think that there is, at some point, there is a corrosive effect of never acknowledging the upside of anything, and the fact that the crime stats have been trending in a better direction for a while now. And I'm going to say something else about that in just a moment, but that they have been trending in a better way for a while now. One is an important point to make, and that's why I like the column a lot. But two, at some point, why not, if you're going to use this as leverage, in which essentially what social media is trying to do. If you're trying to use that as leverage, you can also use the upside leverage and say, hey, now that the city is paying attention to us and our problems, now that the city is recruiting, and now that the city has given us raises, and now that the city has devoted a third of its budget to law enforcement, or whatever the number is right now in Seattle, here's what's happened. We have actually made headway. I mean, there's no reason that they couldn't say that, and with the caveat, we are not there yet.
Yeah.
But we have actually made headway, and there's also no reason on your social media why you couldn't have a picture of, and I've had almost exclusively very positive interactions with police in Seattle, almost exclusively. In fact, I can't think of one ultra negative one that I've had. There is no reason that you can't, on your social media, underscore a positive reaction, because a lot of people will say the same thing I just said, and post that on social media and say, this is Seattle. Like, some officer helping somebody out in a bad situation, officers handling a situation, and underscoring the need for public safety. Officers, picking up somebody who actually needs mental health or needs to get to a hospital.
Right.
All of the stuff that they do, there's no reason that also can't be on your social media feed. And I don't understand why, if you do want to underscore the problems, and I get that. I actually don't even strongly disagree with them wanting to do that. but do the rest of it as well, and show and talk to us about the full gamut of experiences that we're having in Seattle, with some improvements in some areas and some areas not improving. And I don't understand why the union doesn't see the upside into doing the full gamut of things rather than just beating one drum all the time that isn't necessarily going to tell everyone what the whole story is in Seattle.
I mean, you're spot on, because as mentioned in this piece by Danny Westneat in the Times, again, shots fired incidents down 24% year to date in Seattle. Violent crime, which includes aggravated assault, rape, robbery, murder, down 15%. We've had the lowest quarter of violent crime going back 5 years, pre-pandemic rates. Police response time is down because violent crimes are down. So cops are getting to people faster. Where are those news? Where are those posts on social media? You know, one way the city is going to have the budget to give an adequate law enforcement community is if people come to town. Tourists come to town. Shoppers, visitors, businesses come to town. So a tax base rises. City has more resources to dedicate to law enforcement. Telling people that this is Seattle every time you spot a crime, it's a self-defeating, it defeats the purpose of raising a tax base and investing more in law enforcement. How is the union letting its officers do this? Where's the guidance?
Mike, well, so the guidance is, the guy in charge of the union, Mike Solon. Mike has always been, as far as being an effective union leader, he is, zero question. But he has sort of one tool in his kit, and the one tool in his kit is that you are messing up this city by not hiring enough cops, and there is a component of that is true. And we are going to beat that drum consistently and constantly, and especially because, and again, it wasn't Mike who elected a council that was at best lukewarm about cops and at worst, sort of openly hostile about the idea, and the whole defunding thing, which was ridiculous from a practical standpoint. I understand trying to call out police, which they have said we are not supposed to be mental health counselors. Like, we have a job to do. And then when you try and take that job, the other jobs away from them, they get unhappy about that sort of loss of influence. That was pretty hypocritical from a law enforcement standpoint. But I would say that I agree that we were not hiring fast enough, and we made the city sort of pretty unwelcome for law enforcement. That's something that city council has tried to reverse. I think that's great. But I would say that Mike has done one very specific thing very effectively since he's been head of SPOG, the Seattle Police Officers Guild, and that is to make everyone clear that this crime problem, the problem with the encampments, the associated crime problem with the encampments, all of the stuff you see in town that makes you feel like the town isn't safe, Seattle PD could solve that if Seattle PD were sufficiently staffed. That's his message. Simple. Yeah. And then there's the other stuff about how the tools available to law enforcement and whatnot. Those are ancillary things to his main point. And he's been effective about that. So why would he stop at this point? Well, I guess he's not going to.
He's getting the results he wants.
He's so far as good. But I think that was sometimes when people don't understand is that you start also like destabilizing the ground beneath your feet. When all you do is parrot this one thing, when people are starting to see other things happening and you're not responding to those. Plus, I think that there's times when people want to hear something good. Right?
Absolutely.
They want to feel good about local law enforcement as they want to feel good about city council members. They want to feel good about civic life in Seattle. And there's no reason that you can't trot that stuff out on social media as well and try and make people like really come around on the idea of, they're doing a great job. We should fund them, right? Rather than we are under threat, we should fund them. You can send a different message and still get your money.
Am I wrong in thinking that the police department has a kind of an obligation to the city itself to not just run the city down like that this is Seattle crime parade on social media? I'm a big free speech proponent, as we all should be. Should they have the right to do this and still hold a job defending the city and protecting the city?
Yeah, sure. I think that's probably a little farther than I would go. As much as I find it,
I mean, it's if you want to be a member,
as much as I find it counterproductive.
Yeah, they should still defend their right to do so.
Yeah, if that's what they want to say, that's what they want to say. But I would argue also that if you're going to create a culture, I mean, everyone always talk. Let's switch the topic to briefly a comparison to, I don't know, when Pete Carroll was coach of the Seahawks, and they talked about how he's very good. The reason the Raiders hired him, very good at building culture. This idea that we are here, we're going to do good work, we're going to work really hard, we're going to have a good time. And I'm not saying that applies to law enforcement, but I'm saying that if all you do to your own members is talk about how miserable and threatening it is in Seattle, they're going to believe you.
Yeah,
right. And I'm not
sure
that
the community that reads your social posts.
And I'm not sure that is the best way to approach your work every day. I'm guessing that most police officers don't. I mean, the ones that I know don't. So it seems like at some point, the leadership with the union might want to consider some sort of like broader message about, we need more help, but we're making headway. And it seems to me like that might get sort of the it's like tie off it might get the public a little more interested in being a party to this action.
Yeah.
And not just sitting around waiting for additional hired cops to stop this imminent threat that they keep putting out on social media.
It seems almost they're afraid to give any good news because it's going to undermine their negative campaign.
Precisely, and I think it's a very limited way to approach it.
I couldn't agree more. And some of the statistics, not just the crime coming down statistics, but we've got record numbers of recruits for police officers in the city of Seattle.
And let me say,
open new training facilities and some of the finest pay in the nation.
And let me say one thing about the statistics, though. And I think that this is one area where I think I wouldn't necessarily push back on the column because I thought the column was great. But I would say there's one area of statistics that I think is worth noting, and people who are talking about the way Seattle is right now would mention this. Sometimes when you feel like you're not getting any response from law enforcement quickly enough, you just stop reporting. And when you stop reporting, crime stats go down. And so if that is a component of all this, and that is not, I don't see anything, there's no way, you can't, it's hard to count a negative, but in this particular case, but I think that bears at least some thought that if the response times, and anyone who's grown up in a bad neighborhood that the police don't go to often in any city in America can tell you at some point, you stop calling it because you're not going to wait around for that stuff. And so if that is a component as to why the stats are in decline, and I don't know that it is, I'm guessing that largely it probably isn't because people still are making calls. But if that is a component, it probably bears some mention, and it probably underscores the argument that Mike Solon and SPOG has been making for a long time.
Fair enough. Well, it's tourist season in Seattle. Summer months are here. And one of the main drivers of Seattle's tourist economy are Canadians. Now, today it was announced that President Trump is putting a 90-day pause on his wall-to-wall tariff palooza, including against Canada, but
not against China.
And I wonder if the relationship with the U.S. and Canada, which has been just decimated in recent weeks, as President Trump has gone on his type of negotiation about Canada being the 51st state and all these various tariff threats against our number one trading partner and our number one tourist feeding nation is Canada. Not just to Seattle, but the entire American tourist industry. Canada's our number one visitor.
Right.
Are people still going to come to Seattle? Does the lifting of tariffs? It's not about the shopping and the prices. It's about Canadians feeling unwelcome.
Weirdly enough, Danny Westneat did a column on that prior to this one, and how Canadian tourism is down and border crossings is down significantly, like double-digit percentages, and based on a lot of things that the president has said. I think that is absolutely something that's worth worrying about, particularly if you're a hotel in town, particularly if you are the Mariners, particularly if you are the Seahawks. I mean, we get a lot of Canadians in town for sporting events, the Kraken to some degree, although they've got plenty of hockey there, certainly in Vancouver.
Yeah, right, hockey was great for Canadians to come down.
But so we'll see about that. I will say one caveat. If in fact, and sorry about it, Canadians, I'm just going to make an apology in advance of saying this.
How Canadian?
If it means that we have fewer Toronto Blue Jays fans in Seattle, I am fully prepared to go with that.
That's right, Canada. Suck on that.
Yeah,
Bingo.
I'm with you.
I can deal with fewer Blue Jays fans any day of the week, and it's so. I'll give a small nod to the President of the United States on that. If he's saying this specifically to stem the flow of Blue Jays fans,
then I'm a winner.
I'm with him.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, we talked briefly about the tariffs being lifted this morning, a 90-day pause, I should say, on the international tariff wars. 10% tariff still on all nations outside of China, which has gotten it's over 100 now. It's 104. It's changing by the minute as the escalation on both sides seems to be ramping up.
Hard to know.
And I know Heather had a piece in her newscast about former Governor Locke talking about there may need to be a third-party negotiator to step in between the very prideful Chinese government and the very, very prideful Donald Trump administration.
So, yeah, we got them.
Yeah, well, as long as we turn to diplomacy. If you don't mind my asking, I know you're a local business owner, and you're Lower Queen Anne, the Streamline. Were you at all worried about the pending tariff wars? I'm not sure we're out of the woods on tariffs. Have you kind of ramped up supplies? Have your suppliers ramped up prior to these things? Do you worry? You're anxious about the tariff wars?
I mean, I'm always anxious about prices going up. Sometimes it's been getting very expensive to do business in town, not just because of rents and issues like that, but also because supply chains are getting increasingly consolidated. And when they get increasingly consolidated, they get more expensive. No two ways about it. I mean, there's like 4 producers of chicken wings in the United States, 4 major. That's it. And you get one of those factories goes even slightly down. And I'm not saying they all discuss amongst with each other on what to set the price at, but it's possible. I think those things are a bigger problem. The consolidation and limited supply chain is the bigger issue. Right. But I would say that the tariff one is going to be big. I mean, if you're trying to get replacement refrigeration gear
that
a lot of that is manufactured in China.
Yes.
And so that gets that was expensive. It's going to get much more so. Those big purchase items are really what's going to affect you. And to some degree, perhaps booze. I think that if booze gets more expensive to export, let's say Jack Daniels going from Kentucky to or Tennessee.
Jack Daniels, Lynchburg, Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee to Germany, and there's a tariff. They're not going to make less money, so they're going to charge us more if they can export less. And so those sort of things, we're going to have to see how it plays out. I mean, they put a kibosh on it, but the big purchase items that come from manufacturing centers like China, that is going to be one of those areas where I think we're going to see a fairly significant increase. And so it's worrisome.
Will a decrease in tourism to Seattle hurt you guys?
I don't know. People come in for a lot of concerts. I mean, we do get some Canadians, no offense, Blue Jays fans, and so maybe a bit. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of events that we're fairly close to Seattle, to the Climate Pledge Arena.
Yeah.
So
you already had your Canadian season.
I don't know. And summer is a big tourism time in Seattle anyway. So my guess is we won't see a massive change. But again, this is all new territory for all of us,
and
so I have no idea.
Uncertain territory at best. Thank you, Mike. When we come back, by the way, yesterday Mike gave me more information about AI in an 8-minute radio segment than I have gotten in the last 4 years of trying to learn about AI. So I've got an AI question, if you don't mind. I want to ask you about the newest threat through AI.
Fair enough.
To our information cycle. It's the Jake and Spike Show with Mike Lewis. We'll be right back after these.
This hour is brought to you by Insulation Northwest.
Spring is officially here, and with it comes some unpredictable Pacific Northwest weather. This time of year, heavy rain can be especially tough on an old roof. An unexpected roof leak can be stressful. If your roof does spring a leak, Valentine Roofing has you covered with our Leak Stop Guarantee. We'll stop a leak in your old roof for free until the new one is safely installed. And we offer this leak stop service year-round, so you're never left scrambling for a bucket on your own. But don't wait for a roofing emergency. Schedule your free estimate now before you have the headache of dealing with a leak. Our estimates are straightforward. We'll provide you with an honest assessment of your roof's condition, along with our best price right from the start, all within about an hour of when we arrive. Call Valentine Roofing today, and we can get your roof replacement started with our priority scheduling. For roof replacements, repairs, and cleaning, call Valentine Roofing today at 206 Roofing. That's 206 Roofing to schedule your free estimate.
Good afternoon, I'm Aaron Granillo.
Your best source for local news.
Newly released police video shows the arrest of a 17-year-old.
KIRO Newsradio.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different. Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Comcast Business helps turn today's small businesses into engines of modern business. It's how restaurants become reliably up and running neighborhood favorites. How retailers become seamlessly restocking, cyber-securing must-visit shops. And how healthcare offices become the data managing caregivers that we all depend on. With reliable connectivity, enhanced cybersecurity, advanced fiber solutions, and Wi-Fi backup, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business. Powering possibilities.
Now through April 21st, new customers can get started with 150 megabit internet and Security Edge for $49.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Plus, ask how to get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying internet package. Call today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Requires enrollment in paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra and subject to change. Early termination fee applies.
Now is your time to get into a new D.R. Horton home by taking advantage of their National Red Tag Sales event going on right now through April 20th. Stop by any of their participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. So whether you're buying your first home or looking for an upgrade, you don't want to miss the Red Tag Sales event going on right now. Discover the D.R. Horton difference at drhorton.com. That's drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
Hartley Wilcox here from Wilcox Family Farms. A question we get asked a lot this time of year is, how do the hens stay warm when it's so cold out? Of course, we have nice barns to protect them from the rain, wind, and snow. But also, their feathers are like a down jacket, and if they need additional warmth, they will often snuggle together. And for those very cold days, we have heaters to keep them comfortable and happily laying eggs. Wilcox is committed to organic, humane practices that keep our hens healthy and help preserve the land. When you choose food from local family farmers like Wilcox, you support the local economy with jobs and promote environmental sustainability, making it possible for our family to keep on producing great eggs for another 100 years. Pick up Wilcox eggs at Costco, Marlene's, and Hagen's. And for a healthy snack on the go, grab some ready-to-eat, pre-peeled, hard-boiled eggs in a convenient to-go 2-pack. Wilcox Family Farms, locally fresh since 1909.
I've never had any complaints about my performance in the bedroom. But after turning 40, I noticed my libido just wasn't what it used to be. That's when I reached out to Revive Health. Their team knew exactly what I needed, which is why today, my wife and I are both more satisfied than ever.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, text BOOST to 65555 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com to schedule your appointment. Message and data rates may apply. Message frequency varies. Text help for help. Text stop to cancel. See privacy policy at ReviveMen'sHealth.com/privacy-policy. For info on how opt-in info will be used. And terms and conditions at ReviveMen'sHealth.com/terms of use for terms of short code service.
Get up to $5,000 in local utility rebates, and Eastsiders save up to $6,000 with the Energy Smart Eastside program. Plus, Home Comfort Alliance is offering up to 10% off all heat pumps and air conditioning systems through April. Visit HomeComfortAlliance.com.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and MyNorthwest.com.
Let's get the latest now on Trump's tariff policies with CBS News.
CBS News special report. President Trump changed course today, granting a reprieve to many countries from his tariffs. He's been watching the markets, which soared on the news.
There's a lot of winning out there, and we're having a good day in the stock market, as you can see, an all-time record day, and hopefully it continues. I think it should.
The NASDAQ finished more than 12% higher, but Trump indicated he still believes his tariffs are the right course.
I think it's going to work out amazing. I think that our country is going to be at the end of a year or shorter, but I think we're going to have something that nobody would have dreamt possible.
Brokers like Teddy Weisberg know things could turn around quickly, but for now, many Americans will be relieved.
I think it's going to make a lot of people feel a lot better, at least as far as their 401ks and IRAs and their general overall portfolios are concerned.
And again, checking the numbers on Wall Street, the Dow finished the day nearly 3,000 points higher. The S&P 500 up as well. CBS News special report. I'm Cammie McCormick.
And I'm Aaron Granillo. At least 15 people facing charges in Seattle municipal courts have gone for weeks without a lawyer. KIRO Newsradio's Frank Lindsay explains why.
In one case, a man who allegedly pulled a knife on somebody and threatened to cut his throat while dressed like a wizard had to be released. He'd waited 2 weeks in jail after his arraignment. No attorney ever showed up. Nobody realized he didn't have a lawyer until his pretrial hearing. A spokesperson for the Seattle Municipal Court tells the Seattle Times there were cases when people were deemed eligible for public defense but didn't get it, sometimes because of data entry errors, other times because of what he calls a business process issue. Frank Lindsay, KIRO News Radio.
Former Mariner Nelson Cruz and his family are grieving after his sister died in that deadly nightclub collapse in the Dominican Republic. CBS's Christian Benavides is at that scene.
A majority of the folks who are here, these are families, for the most part, who are waiting to hear if their loved one was found underneath the rubble.
People magazine reports Nelson Cruz was a local governor there and one of dozens killed when the roof caved in yesterday. Low snowpack leading to a drought declaration today in Kittitas and Yakima counties. It means some trouble for farmers and hydropower this summer. Seattle Times reports while big cities like Seattle are okay for now, some rural areas are preparing for water restrictions. Let's go now to the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk at 1:33 with Lori Hardy.
Southbound 5 into Seattle slows from Shoreline after that accident that had you so backed up. Now we're just seeing about a 2-minute delay, Linwood to Seattle. Linwood to Bellevue, though, we're seeing a 3-minute delay. A lot of folks took that southbound route instead to get into Seattle. Northbound I-5 at 196. This is from 196 to northbound I-5. We have a collision partly blocking the ramp. Seeing a little bit of slowing on US 2, jamming up right there at I-5. On 512 eastbound, we have some road work, but it is backing you up to 161. In Issaquah westbound, just before the city limits, they're doing some road work. I'm seeing a slowdown there. And boy, big backup right now as you're heading on State Route 18 towards I-90. KIRO Real-Time Traffic, I'm Lori.
Forecast now brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. We have just partly cloudy skies today, but lots of sun breaks, highs right around 60. Some rain returns tomorrow, but highs will stay in the upper 60s on Thursday. Right now, 55 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the Jake and Spike Show. I'm Spike O'Neill. Mike Lewis filling in for Jake Skorheim this week. Mike, I know what deep fakes are. They're AI-generated fake videos of not just famous people, but
still
any
images
of us.
sometimes.
Still images too. Okay. Congress is now trying to pass through a bill to protect people from deep fakes, especially with regard to like revenge porn and those type of posts, called the Take It Down Now Act. And I think that's the goals are noble to protect people from harm and abuse and harassment through these things. But it's opponents of the bill say it's flawed because they're trying to get it through too fast and they haven't really taken a look at what it does, what it protects, and the potential harm it could cause. And I'm wondering I don't know. Tell me what you know about deep fakes and how fast you mentioned how fast AI is progressing and how it's become actually better in the last, I think you said 4 months than it had been in
it's been
years
sort of
prior.
an exponential growth.
Exponential growth in AI.
As it hoovers up more information and processes that information, it's adjusting itself all the time. Every time you go to it and ask it a question, that is also being recycled back in and creating a feedback loop of more information. So that's what's happening. I mean, one of the most famous recent deepfakes was when President Trump had the verbal altercation with Zelensky of Ukraine.
Ukraine in the Oval Office, yeah.
And the deep fake of Trump saying something, and then Zelensky appears to reach over and slap him and knock him out. And that one got wide circulation, particularly in like liberal media.
Yeah, and comedic circles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was it was very obvious that was actually a fake, and so it probably fit under the whole guidelines that allow for parodies, because a parody is something that is meant to be similar but tweaked enough so you know that it's meant to make fun.
Yeah.
And so you have to write these rules when it comes to these deepfakes fairly convincingly, because you could have a deep fake that is not necessarily pornographic. It could just be someone who created a video, but the sampling that the AI could do could somehow resemble someone. And is that necessarily like whether or not it's harmful or not, potentially harmful or not, those sort of restrictions are what the claim is that this bill is not thinking about. It's not thinking about. So sometimes the danger in legislation regarding technology is it looks at it now and doesn't look at it ahead. And this was the criticism when effectively the Communications Act and the component of it that essentially granted broad protections to platforms who are also publishers, but to calling them platforms is essentially what indemnified all of the Facebooks of this world from they can print any, or rather can post any garbage they want,
right,
and not be held liable in any way, literally libel standards or liable for any of these things.
Right, well, they're just a distribution network at that point, yeah.
So that is the way, but there's been people who's argued that should be pulled back, and you actually should require them, because if you required that, then maybe they would start policing their own environments a little bit better. So that said, the problem with the law, as I understand it, is it's very much targeting what AI does right now.
Yeah.
It is not targeting what AI is going to be able to do. It's not forward looking. The Communications Act rewrite that was under the Clinton administration did not, even though people were saying at the time, you might want to think about where these are headed, because Facebook was a much smaller, I don't even know if Facebook was much of an entity at that particular point. It didn't anticipate where it was going, but now we have a better sense as to looking ahead to where technology is going to evolve. And I think that is the concern here, is that there could be completely legitimate things that could be stopped as a result of these restrictions. And then you just stop the development of something. I mean, remember, we are in a race on AI internationally, and we're doing a pretty good job of having a lot of the best companies working in the United States on this sort of thing. You put restrictions on that, and somehow the argument would be that you reduce our competitiveness. So I think what the argument is that if you rush anything through like this, you cannot think it through on what still needs to be out there and sort of free form and allow for development, and what needs to be in there as guardrails to protect against individuals being harmed.
And I hate to stereotype, but when you have people in their 50s, if we're lucky, 70s, more often than not, writing these laws about technology they can't begin to understand.
Well, yeah, except that it's typically is. I mean, the way it actually works is they're up there giving all the speeches. They have staff, mostly younger, mostly people who understand this stuff.
That's reassuring.
I would say, though, that as a collateral problem, laying off tens of thousands of experts in certain government agencies who actually do understand is a massive problem here, not just from this type of lawmaking, but all types of lawmaking.
Right. So the experts in their fields.
Yeah. You get rid of those folks, and then you have all kinds of problems, not just necessarily with legislation here, but typically when you're seeing Senator X didn't write any of that legislation. The more experience that senator have, maybe they know a lot about it, but typically they have pretty highly paid, highly trained, younger staff who are doing those things.
Who do understand the technology and do understand the limits of the dangers of where it will go.
One would hope.
One would hope. So let me ask you about AI in particular with regard to deepfakes. When I see a deepfake of, whether it's President Obama giving a speech that I know he never gave, and you can still tell at this moment when a deep fake, at least I think I can, when a deep fake is not the real thing. And you talked about how fast the progression is and how fast the learning curve is for AI. How soon will it be that AI is as good as live? as good as real.
It's very, very close to there now. I mean, it's being used in movies all the time. I mean, if anybody out there saw the Oscar-winning film The Brutalist, there are sections where Adrian Brody's character, who has a strong Hungarian accent, they felt like the accent wasn't adequate. So they ran his voice through AI and really enhanced the accent because they didn't feel like he'd gotten the specific sub-dialect accent correctly. All right, so they did this. That then probably cost the film, a couple of awards during the Oscar season.
It wasn't true acting. Yeah.
But it is true acting. The problem is that they use CG. They use that stuff all the time. Here's the thing.
They weren't real dinosaurs? That's what you're saying?
There's not clear standards on a lot of this stuff, on what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable. And so, yes, AI is already there. It's not almost there. It's already there. And so having some guardrails, having some way to identify it from stuff that actually happened and stuff that didn't happen, I think is important. I don't know what the answer to that is, but I think that the worry about it is very legitimate.
And when we're talking about movies, it's fun, it's trivial, it's irrelevant. When we're talking about political ads,
well,
I mean, how do we keep that monster from being unleashed?
But even with the movies, I mean, this is part of what the actors' strike was all about. Like getting like pushed aside for a computer-generated image. I mean, so these are complex issues. I mean, without any question. I do think some ability to identify what is AI and what isn't AI is probably best for everyone.
And maybe clear labeling being required.
That would be a start.
It seems like the least they could do. Let's run that through AI, see if it gets promoted. I'll tell you how you can tell the difference between real and fake. Our next story is about an action figure of a superhero. We've crossed the Rubicon because Barbie, wait till you see the new Barbie. We'll tell all about it when we come back.
The Closing Bell is brought to you by Legacy Group Capital's Northwest Fund.
Hey there, I'm Chris Sullivan, traffic reporter for KIRO Newsradio. The favorite part about my job is helping you get answers to your traffic questions.
Will this construction ever end?
How do you zipper merge?
Just how close is tailgating?
Now I need your help. What burning questions do you have? What should I be looking into? You can help drive the conversation by going to mynorthwest.com or text choke points to 888-973-5476. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the star of my next Choke Points story. Presented by Carter Subaru.
Hey, Spike O'Neill for Integrity Roofing and Construction. When you find a company that does the right thing because it's the right thing to do, that treats you and your home with the kind of respect that you deserve, but you've come to not expect anymore, that's Integrity Roofing and Construction. They live up to their name. It's a no-nonsense, straightforward, down-to-earth company that uses the very best products and the very best workmanship and the very best crews. They treat my home better than I ever treated my home. If you think it's time to give your roof an examination, come and get a free estimate. Integrity Roofing and Construction, 206-202-ROOF. That's 206-202-ROOF or online, integrityrc.com.
The preseason AC sale is on now at Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. This month only, keep your home cool and your wallet comfortable with 15% off. Plus, free financing on all air conditioners, heat pumps, and ductless systems. Trust the team voted best in the Pacific Northwest and call Bob's today for your free estimate. Hurry, the discount reduces to 10% off in May. Call Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning today.
Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning. Call Bob.
Here it comes, the second huge online equipment auction of the year, produced by the James G. Murphy Company. Bidding starts at 10 a.m. Thursday, April 10th, and closes at 10 a.m. Wednesday the 17th. Over 800 items are on the block, including heavy equipment, trucks, and logging gear, including a 2016 Link-Belt 210 XT TLN log loader, a 2014 CAT 320 DFM log loader, and a 2014 Komatsu 931.1 forwarder. If you're looking for construction equipment, we got 16 excavators, 5 wheel loaders, 4 backhoes, and 2 pavers. Plus, there's a great selection of 12 late model dump trucks, including 5 Peterbilt 367s from model year 2013 to 2020. Check out all this gear in person during inspection days, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tuesday the 15th and Wednesday, April 16th at our Marysville location. Bidding starts 10 a.m. Thursday. For pictures and all details, check out murphyauction.com. That's murphyauction.com.
I saw her texting, coming up to a stop sign. And so I saw the accident coming, and she T-boned us.
In the blink of an eye, Crystal's life changed when she suffered a severe spinal injury.
The pain was something I had never experienced before in my neck. I got massage therapy. I saw a chiropractor. I was prescribed muscle relaxers so I could sleep. I got depressed. Nothing was relieving the pain.
Drugs, sleepless nights, and depression. Sound familiar? I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic physician and board-certified functional neurologist. At Sound Pain Solutions, our treatments include high-dose laser combined with spinal decompression and other comprehensive therapies to rehabilitate damaged discs. We use treatments that are non-surgical, FDA-cleared, drug and pain-free.
I was able to get off my pain medicines, and I was able to sleep through the night, and that was what I was desperate for.
To learn if you're a candidate for our treatment, call us. Sound Pain Solutions, 855-996-0025, or click soundpainsolutions.com.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
A good retirement requires more than just having a retirement nest egg and a good investment strategy. Sadly, most people don't have that kind of a plan. And that's why retirement turns into a nightmare for most retirees. Nightmares of one falling ill and ending up in a nursing home, becoming a burden on loved ones, and losing money to uncovered care costs. All preventable with the right retirement plan. Hi, this is elder law attorney Rajiv Nagaich and founder of LifePoint Law. Let me invite you to resolve to make 2025 the year you create a real plan for retirement. I've helped thousands of people in the Seattle area, and I know I can help you too. Come to one of my retirement planning seminars this month, and I will show you how.
Attend the free seminar in Olympia on April 8th or Bellevue on April 10th. Register at lifepointlaw.com or call 253-838-3454. 253-838-3454. Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other job sites. Indeed's Sponsored Jobs feature helps you stand out and hire fast. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
Amanda here for Care Partners Senior Living. Our communities offer safe living spaces with medical professionals on site and ready to help. With locations throughout Washington and Arizona, you'll find a Care Partners community near you. Learn more at carepartnersliving.com.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, don't neglect maintenance on your vehicle. Keep it safe. At Bucky's Complete Auto, we have you covered with available financing. For over 50 years, Bucky's Complete Auto has been servicing and repairing cars and trucks with modern-day technology and good old-fashioned customer service. There's a Bucky's just about everywhere for oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Bucky's.com for the location near you.
Welcome back. Welcome back. It's the Jake and Spike Show. I'm Spike O'Neill along with Mike Lewis. And I owe an apology because I committed the sin. I called it a Barbie story. It's not. It's Ken. It's Kenough. I can't believe I called it a Barbie story. I mean, that is... Laura says...
That is exactly what the Kens have been complaining about this entire time.
Laura looked at me and goes, did you not see the Barbie movie? And I did.
Did you even watch it?
Did it get
twice?
Through? Twice? I saw it twice. Did you see the Barbie movie, by the way?
I did, twice.
I loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a wonderful message. And I loved that Ken was Kenough. Well, LeBron James is getting his own Ken doll. He's the first Ken-ambassador, as the puns continue to pile on. LeBron James has an action figure. Is it an action figure? When it's a guy, it's got to be an action figure. Can it be a doll?
I think it can be a doll. right?
It's absolutely dull.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. LeBron James is the first Kembassador. It's a new LeBron James LJ on his jacket. It's a beautiful little collector piece. And it's coming to market. LeBron James is going to be forever enshrined in plastic to become a collector's item, a trophy, a plaything.
Yeah.
Does it come with little Bronny?
It's an inch taller than other Kens. Did you see that detail?
It should be. I was about to ask. Is it true to life? Is it obscenely, abnormally large and long? It's LeBron.
I think it's going to be interesting to see if this thing sells well. I mean, certainly it's going to move a whole bunch of units immediately for the collectors group who are not going to take it out of the packaging, and they're going to hide it away in a closet somewhere and wait for this, and then they're going to put it on eBay in a year or two and see what
Sure. Weirdo adult energy.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff is going to happen. It's not actually ever going to be played with as a toy because every toy now just seems to be a collector's item. It doesn't really seem to be a toy anymore.
Good, it's not just
However, it's going to be interesting to see if this thing does sell well. Then this is going to be the beginning of a complete change in what they're offering from that particular lineup. I mean, Mattel has looked for all kinds of ways to additionally profit from the movie, which did exceptionally well. And this is going to be, you're going to find famous quarterbacks. You're going to find
of course, as you should.
Famous other basketball players, baseball players, things like this. You're going to find a lot of ambassadors, Barbie ambassadors, Kembassadors are going to start happening pretty rapidly, very quickly if this thing sells well.
I've been a collector of kind of sports memorabilia my whole life, music memorabilia my whole life. I'd love a few dolls. I'd love a few action figures of my heroes. Born and raised in Baltimore, I'd love a Cal Ripken. A Cal Ripken action, a Ken doll from Cal Ripken. I would love a Ken Griffey Jr. Ken doll.
Bobblehead's not enough for you.
Yeah, I've got some bobbleheads, but I love the posing of these guys. The accessories that go with them.
I'm excited to see how these characters work into Barbie storylines for young girls.
Very good point.
Right?
Very good point. Well, that means obviously you're going to have WNBA players as well, right? I mean,
I
I would assume that that's going to be on the horizon. I can't see them not thinking about this. Yeah, it's going to be interesting how they're going to dovetail that in with the whole. To the extent there's a storyline to put it in the storyline.
I just meant girls playing with these dolls and boys in their basements. Yeah, like rival basketball teams.
But see, this is it though. If they do, it feels to me like so much of this stuff now is like you said. You played it perfectly. Like weird adult entry. Like this is going to be one of those things that is so overwhelmingly purchased by the Beanie Baby level speculators.
Thank you very much.
They're going to be buying these things. And Bitcoin, and
I wish I'd have skipped Beanie Babies for Bitcoin.
This is what is our future as far as this stuff goes. If someone actually plays with one of these toys, I would be thrilled.
That's the dream,
that's
right?
The dream,
is that LeBron James is dating? I can't even. Barbie from the 50s.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
Nice.
They travel to New Zealand. They get a little house together.
Right.
By the way, Barbie has a WNBA action Barbie doll. In various WNBA uniforms.
Oh, there you go.
But it'd be nice to see the stars of the WNBA get this kind of recognition.
We're gonna. It's probably already being made.
I would hope.
Yeah.
Who would you? Is there anybody from your youth that you would? I know you're not a weird collector guy like myself.
No, there's things I collect, but nothing like that. Grievances mainly. I don't like who I would want to see
who is your hero?
enshrined.
Who would you
in
have
Barbie.
wanted as a kid, maybe?
Yeah, there you go.
As a kid, this is going to sound really dumb, but probably, I mean, I was a big motorcycle racing fan as a kid, so it'd probably be like, I could name names, but you wouldn't know any of them.
Okay.
So that's probably, as a kid, that's absolutely who I would have wanted.
Okay.
Or maybe, I was also a Raiders fan, so maybe Kenny Stabler or something like
sure.
that.
You bet, man. I had G.I. Joes as a kid. When I was a young guy, we had the Jeeps, we had everything.
I didn't have any of that stuff.
Had all that stuff. Well, good luck, LeBron.
Yep.
I hope somebody takes you out of the box and plays with you.
And I hope he gets his own house and his own Corvette and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Now, if a Barbie dream house is this big, how big is a LeBron dream mansion? We'll be right back after these. It's the Jake and Spike Show with Mike Lewis.
This is Keith Dashafee, owner of Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. Are you ready to enhance your home with stunning, energy-efficient windows and doors? At Pella, we offer top-quality products with innovative designs and exceptional craftsmanship. And right now, we're offering an amazing deal. Enjoy 12 months with no interest and no payments, or get 40% off qualifying installs. My team is dedicated to helping you every step of the way. Visit PellaPNW.com to schedule your free appointment today. That's PellaPNW.com.
This Easter, we invite you to share your egg-siding creations with us. Hartley Wilcox here. Submit your beautifully decorated Easter egg photos to our Wilcox Family Farms Facebook page and join the community in celebrating this joyous holiday. For over a century, our farm-fresh eggs have been a part of your cherished traditions. From our family to yours, we wish you a happy and colorful Easter filled with love, joy, and delicious Wilcox eggs. Wilcox Family Farms, locally fresh since 1909.
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
If you've been in an auto accident, you have the right to take your vehicle to any repair facility. Accurate Auto Body has been family owned and operated since 1994, and they work for you, not your insurance company. Your insurance company may not love them, but you will, because
we meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
If you've been arrested for DUI, you need a hero. We're giving free consultations via phone and Zoom. Go to DUIHeroes.com or call 1-800-DUI-HERO.
We're human and we make mistakes. If you need someone by your side during a challenging time, DUI Heroes is there for you 24/7. They're excellent at what they do. DUI Heroes averages 90% of all DUI offenses they take on being reduced or completely dismissed. Your DUI defense specialist, DUIHeroes.com.
now is your time to get into a new D.R. Horton home by taking advantage of their National Red Tag Sales event going on right now through April 20th. Stop by any of their participating communities and find select Red Tag homes at incredible pricing. So whether you're buying your first home or looking for an upgrade, you don't want to miss the Red Tag Sales event going on right now. Discover the D.R. Horton difference at drhorton.com. That's drhorton.com. D.R. Horton, America's builder, an equal housing opportunity builder.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio. KIRO FM and HD1. Tacoma, Seattle. Northwest News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Cammie McCormick. Cheers on Wall Street ending on a positive note for a change after the president paused tariffs on most nations. Kelly O'Grady of Money Watch.
This was the single biggest day for the Dow in terms of a rally since 2020. And you really saw it in tech stocks that had been getting hammered, which, by the way, is good news for your 401k.
Linda Kenyon has more on the president's decision from the White House.
The president says most of his trade tariffs are now on hold.
Somebody had to do what we did, and I did a 90-day pause for the people that didn't retaliate. Because I told them, if you retaliate, we're going to double it. And that's what I did with China, because they did retaliate.
Trump says nations that did not respond by raising tariffs against the United States have been reaching out to negotiate. Even China, he says, wants to make a deal. They just don't know how to go about it. Linda Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
Ramy Inocencio reports there are other measures China could take in this trade war.
Beijing right now is weakening its currency. And the reason for this, how this is helpful for China, is that it makes China's exports cheaper against other countries. There are other things that China is signaling in terms of propping up the markets.
Federal judges in 2 states are blocking the Trump administration from using a rarely used statute for deportations. CBS's Stacey Lynn has that.
Judges in both New York and Texas have granted temporary restraining orders blocking the administration from moving 5 Venezuelans out of the country until they can fight the government's attempt to deport them under the Alien Enemies Act. 3 of the men are being detained in a facility in Texas, the other 2 in New York. All of the men were identified as belonging to the Tren de Aragua gang, a claim they deny. Stacey Lynn, CBS News, Washington.
The rain-swollen Ohio River in Louisville, Kentucky is at its highest level in years. Much of the small town of West Point has been swamped. Patsy Chapman remained in her home despite being surrounded by brown, murky water.
It's my home. It'll always be my home. The town, it's my family, and I don't want to lose that.
The floodwaters are slowly receding. Rescue workers in the Dominican Republic are still looking for possible survivors from the roof collapse at a nightclub. The death toll is at 124. It could still climb. Hundreds were injured. Ukraine said today it's identified more Chinese soldiers fighting for Russia. Israel's defense minister says his army is seizing large areas of Gaza and incorporating them into buffer zones, which will then be cleared of inhabitants. Israel says it's to force Hamas to release hostages. Again, on Wall Street, the Dow finished up nearly 3,000. This is CBS News.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You could save big when you bundle your auto, home, motorcycle, RV, or boat. Visit Progressive.com.
Coming up, budget writers appear to be giving up on a wealth tax. That's after we go to the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk with Lori Hardy.
And traffic is brought to you by AAA. We just cleared a collision southbound I-5 at the Boeing Access Road. Now Everett to Seattle, 34 minutes, about a 2-minute delay. Northbound I-5 slows approaching State Route 18. If you're heading from Renton to Bellevue, southbound 405, you're kind of slow through the S-curves. 167 northbound is slowing as you head into Renton or 405. About a 15 minutes, a 1-minute delay. Everett to Marysville right now is just a little slow past US 2. Now, westbound 512 is backed up to about 167 because of some road work that's going on. And 18, if you're stuck in that backup, that's due to some road work. You're backed up from about Issaquah, Hobart Road. If the wind is blowing, AAA Washington will help keep you going. To become a member, visit AAAWashington.com. KIRO Real-Time Traffic, I'm Lori.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. A wealth tax in Washington is off the table for now. Representative Joe Fitzgibbon says Democrats are scrapping the tax, at least for this session.
You know, there's definitely some disappointment among many of our members as well as many of our constituents that particular tool is not going to be part of our budget solution this year.
Governor Bob Ferguson says a wealth tax is legally dubious. He's asked Democrats to come up with a new budget that relies on fewer taxes and more spending cuts. They need to fill a projected $16 billion shortfall. House fire is still smoldering today in Gig Harbor, where crews say 2 people died last night. Investigators say it's suspicious. Deputies believe one of the victims died from causes not related to the fire. A second body remains in the rubble. An attempted arrest of a domestic violence suspect leads to a fatal fire in Auburn. Here's KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey.
Kent police say a quick chase ended up with the 51-year-old suspect wanted for a domestic violence assault with a gun holed up in a building where he worked in Auburn. When negotiations failed, police say a SWAT team moved in, but a fire broke out, forcing officers to run back outside. Police presume the suspect died in that fire. The medical examiner will determine the exact cause of death. No word yet on how the fire started. Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
You could be paying money to find a date. Under a new state bill, Representative Lauren Davis wrote the measure that targets online dating companies.
The tax is on the companies, not the users, so the companies could choose how to manage that.
If passed, the state would tax those companies $1 per user per month. The money raised would go toward domestic violence intervention treatments and funding for victims. New baby orca is swimming off our shores this morning. The Center for Whale Research says a biologist spotted the endangered southern resident calf on Friday near Victoria Harbor. This is the first baby for a whale named J40. Weather now brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. A nice afternoon today, mostly sunny skies, just some high clouds, and temperatures right around 60 for the highs. Right now 55 in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News. It's the all-new Jake and Spike Show on KIRO News Radio.
Welcome back, everybody. Mike Lewis in for Jake Skorheim. I'm Spike O'Neill. We're glad you're spending the afternoon with us. If you want to take part in what we've talked about this afternoon, some of the topics we've covered, feel free to give us a text at 888-973-5476. Text line's always there for you to take part in the show, and we'll read back the very best of your texts today at the end of the broadcast, as we always do. Is there somebody you'd like to see? Kenified? Some hero from your youth? Aaron Granillo.
Yeah.
I appreciate you hanging out for a couple extra minutes. Baseball heroes.
Yeah. Would you talk about baseball right now?
I'm sorry. How about those M's? Can we take? I don't want to do that to you.
No, it's not.
Who would you have? Who was your hero? And would you buy a Ken doll of Ken Griffey Jr.?
I was going to say the irony of it all is I would probably buy a Ken Griffey Jr. doll.
It'd be Jr. with the backwards cap. Wouldn't that be great?
Absolutely.
Right.
The lefty swing, iconic.
Lefty swing, right, with the back
Swing
trailing
man.
behind him, just like the statue
Yes,
downtown.
sir. Yep.
And since you brought up the Mariners yesterday, was that a Major League Baseball record? Was it 19 strikeouts or 18?
It has to be, right? 19 strikeouts, 1 for 19 with runners in scoring position. How do you lose that game?
You have to. It's almost like you have to try.
I know. I was saying earlier in the newsroom, that is an impressive loss. Yes.
I heard you say that.
Yeah.
Like, that's got to be a headline.
Yeah.
Impressive loss.
Yeah.
Mariners find silver lining in an embarrassing output at the park.
And they're on their way to losing likely their fourth straight series to start the season.
Oh, they're down
All is
4.
well.
They're down 4-0 to the A's. To the Astros in
all good.
The
Hey,
third.
just got a double.
Hey, it's one hit at a time. That's the beauty of baseball, right? It's not like being down 56-0 with 2 minutes to play. In baseball, as long as you've got a strike, you've got a chance. Thank you, Aaron. Sorry to bring up the
Thank
misery of
you.
yesterday.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
All right. So now, Aaron, I know I'll let you go because you've got work to do. But you've got kids, and you've got kids that are becoming social media age. Not yet, but soon. They're your daughter's oldest is
she's 7.
7, yeah. You got a while to go.
I hope so.
I'll get back in 4 to 5 to 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
There's a Washington school district that has banned cell phones from kids in their schools, as I think all schools should. We're talking about over in Spokane, the Spokane School District, and they're turning their kids on to real life experiences. They're expanding the things that kids do. There's a knitting class, for example, in Spokane, Washington, at the Ferris High School, a science lab at Ferris High School, a knitting class at Longview Elementary School. And Mike, I'm not. You're not a parent, are you? I don't think.
I am not.
I didn't think so. What are your thoughts about social media and kids and phones? And I mean, you've got to have an opinion on this. You've got friends. You probably got nieces or nephews that have access to social media, and sometimes at a far too early age. As a parent, you have to juggle this need to protect your kid with the need to, or the desire to have your kid, not be left behind by their peer group.
Yeah. So what do I think should be done, or what do I think that kids how they should be guided through social media?
Both. Any or all of the above.
To the issue of the school in Spokane school district that is eliminating. Essentially, you have to put your phone in a pouch or in a locked container.
And a lot of different school districts around the country are trying these options.
They do various things like that. I think they loosen the standards for high school. You're allowed at lunch, I think, to connect with your phone.
They throw the switch, turn the Wi-Fi on.
The one thing that the school district's doing that's different from a lot of other school districts that have done that is they've decided that because this was activity time for the kids, they then plugged in actual programmed activity, things like the teaching them how to fish. I mean, there's
There's an
a
angling
variety,
class, yeah.
angling class. There's all kinds of
The
stuff that
knitting
they're
class
doing.
in Longfellow, yeah.
I'm a big fan. I love the idea of them getting them out of their phones. They have plenty of time at phones, and they don't, but they have their parents' guidance on this to decide what time they do have on that, and they're not away from them at that particular point. I think the school districts, you have not heard one story of a school district that has been unhappy with the results of banning phones.
Banning phones. Yeah,
not
fair.
one.
Yeah.
And I get parents who want to be able to reach their kids. Find some sort of very, very limiting tracking device if that's what you need. I mean, if that's what you're concerned about, then do that. That's fine. I mean, if they wear essentially a Fitbit grade, something that has no games, but it allows you to know in real time where they are, perfect. Great. Do that. Put an air tag in their pocket. I don't care.
I was going to say.
But don't, it is so overwhelmingly positive. The teachers say this. The students ultimately say this. The parents say this. I don't know why it doesn't become a blanket standard across Washington State, and if not just Washington State, the entire country.
Now, Laura, you went through school. You're a graduate of college. Did you?
Sure am.
Well, I guess my question is, did you have a cell phone as you were developing the developing years of middle school, high school?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's not like you're not that old. It was
I'm not that young either, though. Cell phones became a thing while I was in high school.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had basically a burner phone. I was part of the, do you guys remember the iPod Touch?
Yeah, I remember
The
that,
earliest kind of
Yeah.
iPhone-esque iteration. So a lot of us got iPod Touches. Not me, but other people who
Right.
were cooler
The cool
than me.
kids, yeah.
Got those in middle school. And then I begged for a burner phone that basically just had my parents' phone numbers on it, and I could listen to the ringtones.
Right.
That's what I did for fun, just so I could get my mom to come
those
pick me
simple
up
days,
from
yeah.
school.
Right.
And then I got a phone partway through high school, like a real one, and like an early iPhone, probably like an iPhone 4.
Probably a hand-me-down from somebody else in the family. Yeah.
I was also part of the Zune generation.
What do you
'cause
think,
my mom
though,
worked at Microsoft.
about? I mean, so you were still at an era where it probably wasn't this massive distraction, or was it a massive distraction for you in high school?
Oh, to some extent it was, but not quite the same way. I remember there being a couple of social media dramas that played out, like people saying mean things about each other online, and that escalated a little bit in college. Yik Yak was anonymous.
Oh, right. Yik Yak.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I was part of the Yik Yak. I was like a freshman college when Yik Yak was really popping off.
Right.
But it wasn't the kind of thing that, to be honest, I think we're a little bit harsh on kids when we should be looking at ourselves. I mean, I'm so attached to my phone these days in a way that I was not in high school when I had, was younger, right?
Right.
And like fewer self-control abilities, presumably, right? Just because it wasn't as interesting or addicting. There wasn't as much to do on my phone as there is now. I think I have a harder time as an adult setting boundaries for myself with my phone. I mean, TikTok wasn't a thing when I was in high school.
Interesting.
Reels wasn't a thing.
Well,
The short form content.
Yeah, I think you raise a very good point. And you've been out with friends and sitting at a table in a restaurant, and you just take a quick glance around and you realize everyone's sitting at the table with you and everyone's looking at their phone.
Heads down.
They
yeah.
literally have people 2 feet away from them,
Right.
who they are
Humans.
ostensibly there to talk to.
To be fair, part of that is the QR code craze
yeah.
that's
Neil.
overtaken and ruined many restaurants.
I
hate that.
As a
Yeah.
side note, I agree with you 100%. I mean, that makes complete sense. But even so,
Yeah.
sometimes that's not the case, and everyone is still
checking their
reflexively
scores, checking their stats, checking their 401ks this week.
whatever.
Checking their email because everyone else is on their phones and they feel like they have nothing else to do.
Right, yeah.
It's become the thing that fills the gap when you don't have anything to say or anywhere to stand or anyone to look at.
It's really effective.
Yeah.
I was in Austin, Texas with some friends not long ago, and this was happening. And so I'm reasonably good about leaving my phone in my pocket, and when I'm at a table with somebody and paying attention to them. But I just started picking one person at the table just to stare at. And people get
And when they
both sort of
noticed?
bothered and sort of freaked. Yeah, the funny thing was, it was like 5 minutes before anyone noticed.
Wow.
But there was, it was weird. I gotta say, I love it when, I'm in a place in a bar somewhere and I look around and everyone is just talking. Like that to me, and it shouldn't be such a miracle, but it feels like it now because so often people just drop. I mean, it started me from, I'm now more inclined to bring, rather than, because sometimes I'm reading, I'll use my Kindle app on my phone, right? And I'll just be reading a book. And so technically I won't be sort of on social media, but I'm still staring at my phone. So I've started going back to physical books. I started wearing a watch all the time so I would not look at my phone for the time, so I would resist these rabbit holes, which are everywhere, right? They're constant. And once you drop in, you're there for 5 minutes at least, right?
And I think, Laura, you make a great point about how we as adults aren't talking or we're not walking the walk. We're talking the talk.
No, it's a lot of projection. Right?
That's totally true.
Yeah.
But with a kid, I think it's a much more dangerous time in life to set the patterns. We as adults, we're making this conscious choice to become too addictive to engage with our phone. Too much fear of missing out. What did I miss? What happened? But when you're a little kid, this is the period of your life where you're learning how to communicate with others, how you're learning how to have the social skills that were just lost during the COVID shutdown for so many kids. I don't see any good argument for letting a kid have a phone even during recess or free period or lunchtime. That's the time they should be developing social skills. And maybe I'm just the old man in my neighborhood now. But, make eye contact with people, talk to people. Develop a real friend group that's sitting across the table from you. Be uncomfortable. Learn how to talk to the opposite sex.
I mean, if they're not on their phones, that's the only way they're going to be able to hear you yelling for them to get off your lawn.
Right. Am I going to text them to get off my lawn? And then they all look down, then they all get up and run off my lawn?
Then they're back on their phones
Airdrop them
again.
the meme.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll just shut off my Wi-Fi from around my house and have to go some other neighbor to get their free Wi-Fi. If you're a parent that says, I got to be able to reach my kid, maybe it's just dumb phones need to make. I mean, everything's coming back these days.
And they have made it come back. I mean, there's a whole movement afoot. You can find this on social media, on places that actually you can't follow on these phones, but the flip phone has made a comeback.
Yeah.
The very narrow phones that have limited, you can maybe call an Uber, you can maybe
Right, they got 5
email,
preset numbers in there.
Little things you can do that are sort of necessary navigation, which has actually been, a low-grade miracle for phones. Those sort of things are allowed, but the social media apps can't be downloaded, those sort of things. And I think just finding a way to narrow, I think these phones are amazing tools, but I think that narrowing the amount of time and the reason that you get into your phone, I think is a pretty good.
I think it's a necessity. I mean, I think if we don't pull kids back from the social media trap that we're letting them fall into, because oftentimes as parents, we just get tired of saying no. We get tired of the fight, and we're happy to have a few minutes, a few hours maybe of downtime from being a parent. Let my kid go get lost in social media, get lost in gaming, online gaming with friends, or chat groups with friends, or whatever it may be. It's a dereliction of duty as a parent, and it's a total disservice to kids to not first off be engaged with who they are and what they're doing in their lives. Let them be controlled or manipulated, governed by a group outside of my control. It's lazy, and I think it's so detrimental and so dangerous to kids. And social media. I mean, we had the peer pressure of the kids you went to school with. Lauren, if you didn't get a phone till high school, you probably had the same course of action in your elementary years and your middle school years.
Everyone getting a phone before I did. Well, that was the peer pressure of it, right?
But nowadays, kids, they're not just competing with the kids on the playground or the kids in their class for popularity. They're competing with kids around the country, if not the world, for popularity, for standards.
Let me offer one caveat, though. There are kids in school, I was in school before social media, as were you, who weren't fitting in and they didn't have friends and they weren't developing social skills because they weren't either popular enough or pretty enough or thin enough or whatever. And they were not. And some of those kids through social media are actually finding peers. And so I would argue that there is a whole component of kids who are actually benefiting massively from an ability to find friends.
Their group.
I mean,
that's fair. That's very fair. I'm glad you brought it up.
And I'm not saying that this should be happening during school time, because as a person who frequently got his desk moved somewhere else in class because I talked too much in class.
You too? I'm not surprised.
It was completely all the time. So I'm not saying they should be doing it then. I am saying though that the blanket assessment that the social media is bad is not true.
You're right. I think that's fair.
But the assessment that it maybe doesn't belong in the classroom while you're supposed to be learning other things probably is true.
My sister had an issue with her child, and with social media, that the kid kept getting in trouble, making contact with people who were just not the people you want your kid to hang with and run with and text with. That it became a matter of monitoring all usage in their home on social media.
I mean, the funny thing is, Laura, did you ever play Minecraft when you were growing up?
No,
Okay.
I didn't. But the kids I babysat played Minecraft, and I would watch them play
Big hit movie right now. Shocked everyone at how well this movie is doing. So Minecraft wasn't just a game, right? Minecraft became a social media platform for kids. Like they had people they would call friends who they will never meet, have never met, but are from another country who are all playing on Minecraft at the same time. I mean, that is not, I think, intrinsically a bad thing. It becomes a bad thing when it starts crowding out other things that you need to also get done, like any form of addiction.
Yeah, like all things in moderation. Go touch grass, not just virtual grass in a world that you built with these other square-headed people on Minecraft.
Didn't they used to complain about people reading books or people being on computers or every newfangled
Dungeons and Dragons
thing? Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons.
Leading to Satanism, yes. That's
anything that pulls attention.
Right.
From,
First it was that Frank Sinatra character. And then that Elvis Presley character, taking the kids down a horrible influence on our kids.
And I got to say one other thing, and this is probably, and again, this is where I get into super dangerous territory because I don't have kids, and so I'm going to now make an pronouncement about what people should do with their kids. But I would say this.
Who better
to say this than someone who doesn't know?
Someone who's been affected by everyone else's kids.
Exactly. It is... I think that there is a component that, yes, you should be involved in your kid's life, but I also think kids, there is that helicoptering problem. Like there is something about, I had a lot of alone time, not bad alone time, good alone time, where I just did my own, like the backyard or, maybe in the neighborhood a little bit or out on my bicycle or something along those lines. And it feels like that's the other component that somehow, yes, you should be monitoring your kids' behavior, but also at some point when you're a kid, you do need, and the problem is that the internet can be a bad neighborhood, right? And you wouldn't want your kid walking through a bad neighborhood unguided, right? Or unprotected in any circumstance. And that's what the internet represents to people. But there's also other things that are happening there that are pretty great that I would have liked as a kid, like finding other people who like that same weird thing that I did.
Very good point,
that kind of stuff is really important. And the only way you really find those things is kind of exploring on your own, right? And not with this blanket Skynet assessment by your parents on every move you make.
This is why I'm very anti-keyboard tracking.
There you go.
Which Spike has argued in favor for in the past.
Well, it's one. I mean, Mike, you make great points, but the world you and I grew up in had dangers, but I think nothing like the dangers kids face today.
I don't know. I mean, I could go through probably 25 incidents in my childhood, which would be CPS worthy right now. So I don't know. I mean, yes, I think largely you're probably correct, and I don't want to romanticize, but I also know many times that kind of stuff that where are the parents and you know.
No, you're right, bud.
Yeah, that kind
you're
of,
right.
You know what I'm saying.
I hear you. All right, great conversation. When we come back, we'll tell you about a story that came out about a week or so ago. About social media and about journalistic irresponsibility. And we'll ask the question, what should people be allowed to get away with just because they gave up a disclaimer? We'll tell you what we're talking about right after these. This hour is brought to you by Sharp Vision Modern LASIK and Lens.
KIRO Newsradio delivers the news you can trust.
State is facing a multi-billion-dollar deficit.
Government wants more of your money to build quote-unquote affordable housing.
We help you navigate the headlines, providing clarity and context to help you understand how today's events impact your life tomorrow.
The driver pulled out a gun. The officer opened fire, shooting at least one time.
The problem is worse in King County than any other part of the country.
Stay informed, stay connected with KIRO News Radio.
Spring in Washington. It is practically synonymous with rain. And of course, rain is made up of water, which unfortunately can wreak havoc on your home and your crawl space. So if rain or groundwater makes its way into that crawl space, it can create all kinds of problems, including structural damage or toxic mold. You don't want either of those at your house, trust me. It's Mike Salk here, and that's why you call Crawl Pros. Crawl Pros will keep your crawl space dry. They can install a sump pump and drainage and reroute that water back out and away from your home. They'll take care of any mold that's been created and even address any plumbing issues you may have in your crawl space. Don't take the risk. The best way to learn if you have any water issues is to have Crawl Pros do what they did at my house. Visit your home and inspect your crawl space for free. Yes, Crawl Pros will go where you don't want to. So if you're worried at all about water damage, mold, insulation issues, critters, anything else related to your crawl space or attic, call Crawl Pros or visit crawlpros.com to schedule a free inspection.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But this one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. Oh, one last number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Listen up, fellow Gen Xers. Elizabeth Banks here. The recommended age for pneumococcal pneumonia vaccination has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. It's up to us to lead the way. We've done this before. Music videos, fanny packs, even the World Wide Web. Let's do it again and get vaccinated, because we're at over 6 times greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Gen X, this is our shot. Visit vaxassist.com and schedule a vaccine today. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Spring is officially here, and with it comes some unpredictable Pacific Northwest weather. This time of year, heavy rain can be especially tough on an old roof. An unexpected roof leak can be stressful. If your roof does spring a leak, Valentine Roofing has you covered with our Leak Stop Guarantee. We'll stop a leak in your old roof for free until the new one is safely installed. And we offer this leak stop service year-round, so you're never left scrambling for a bucket on your own. But don't wait for a roofing emergency. Schedule your free estimate now before you have the headache of dealing with a leak. Our estimates are straightforward. We'll provide you with an honest assessment of your roof's condition, along with our best price right from the start, all within about an hour of when we arrive. Call Valentine Roofing today, and we can get your roof replacement started with our priority scheduling. For roof replacements, repairs, and cleaning, call Valentine Roofing today at 206 Roofing. That's 206 Roofing to schedule your free estimate.
It's clogged again.
Your drain?
Just had it cleared.
You didn't call Apollo Plumbing.
How can you tell?
Because your drain's clogged again.
So frustrating.
We can clear that drain.
That's what the last guy said.
We'll clear it, guaranteed.
He said that too.
Apollo Plumbing will clear your drain, or it's free.
Wait, what?
Apollo Plumbing clears your drain.
Or it's free?
Yep.
What's the catch?
No catch.
Fine print?
Apollo Plumbing clears your main drain for $83.
$83, or it's free?
And we'll even give you a camera inspection.
Because?
It's the best way to find what's causing your clog.
But that's extra.
Nope. Included.
No extra charge?
Not 1 cent.
$83, or it's free.
All it takes is an accessible outside cleanout.
And an Apollo plumber.
No clog is safe from Apollo Plumbing.
And just like that, my main drain is...
draining again.
How can you...
Apollo plumbers are that good.
$83, or it's free.
You call, we come.
My drain's draining again.
Guaranteed.
$83, or it's free.
As it should be.
Apollo Plumbing.
ApolloPlumbing.com.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that. And third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
As a fan, you know all the important sports cliches. And when you save money by bundling your home and auto with Progressive, you can get out there and give it 110%, even though that's mathematically impossible. And remember, failure is not an option. Well, it's always an option, just not a good one. But you're not worried because you've got ice in your veins. You're on fire. How can both of those things be true at the same time? Well, that's between you and your doctor. So get out there and leave it all on the field. Leave what? Who cares? Just leave it and save with a bundle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Gray whales are back in the Salish Sea. Family-run Puget Sound Express offers guaranteed whale-watching tours departing from Edmonds. Don't miss Seattle's most popular and well-reviewed whale tours. Book online at PugetSoundExpress.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and MyNorthwest.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Aaron Granillo. Wall Street soars today on a major shift in President Trump's tariff policy. Now, most countries are getting a break. CBS News has the latest details.
CBS News special report. President Trump increased tariffs on China today and paused them on other nations, but he said the talks are continuing.
Everybody wants to make a deal, actually. And, we want to do what's right for our country. We also want to do what's right for the world.
The market soared on the news. The Nasdaq up 12%. The Dow 3,000 points higher.
There's excitement, but caution from the investment community.
Kelly O'Grady of Money Watch.
This could be rolled back in 90 days, and there could be developments in a few hours, in a couple of days.
It's that uncertainty that's really bothered investors. New York University professor Colin Slaybach's advice to investors.
I would just try and focus on more steadying the course, understand that the United States economy is very strong and is very resilient.
And Trump said late today he can't imagine raising China tariffs any further. CBS News special report. I'm Cammie McCormick.
And I'm Aaron Granillo. State Senator says President Trump's immigration policies could have a profound impact when Seattle hosts World Cup games next year. KIRO News Radio's Matt Markovich explains.
Democratic State Senator Manka Dhingra made quite the statement when asked if the state will help financially with World Cup preps.
This could have been an event that would have been incredible for the state of Washington. But what is happening at the federal level, it is not safe for people from other countries to come to the United States right now, because people are literally being picked up from the streets and taken away.
She says she'd be curious who from other countries will actually show up. Seattle will host 6 games starting sometime in June next year. Matt Markovich, KIRO News Radio.
New speed cameras go live tomorrow on I-5 in Skagit County and I-90 near Spokane. KIRO News Radio's Chris Sullivan says this is just a pilot program. You will not get a ticket.
If you do get nailed for going over the speed limit, you're going to get something in the mail that says, hey, you're going fast. Here's what's happening. And these cameras, 2 spots, are only going to be active until June 30th.
State says its goal is to reduce crashes without punishing drivers, at least for now. And now to the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk at 2:33. Here's Lori Hardy.
And traffic is brought to you by Wilcox Family Farm Eggs. We have a traffic alert right now. It's eastbound 520 right around Montlake, and all the eastbound lanes are currently blocked. So you're backed up all the way onto I-5, and now North 5 at 45th. We have an accident, so that's just adding to the chaos right now. And again, 520 eastbound at Montlake, all lanes are blocked. Seattle to Everett is a 40-minute drive. Seattle to Federal Way, 36 minutes. That's about a 7-minute delay. If you're heading out of Bellevue to Federal Way, just 45 minutes. Both directions of I-5 right now, between 512 and 16, running a little slow. I'm not seeing an accident, yet. Southbound I-5 at 54th, we have a collision. That one's in the left lane, and still have some road work going on at 18. You're jammed up from Issaquah Hobart all the way to I-90. If you're headed from Everett to Marysville, that's just a 2-minute delay, 11-minute drive. And we're just getting word the Mukilteo Clinton Ferry is running 18 minutes behind. Fresh food comes from local farms. Check the package. For healthier eggs with 3 times the omega-3s, choose Wilcox omega-3 eggs, locally fresh since 1909. KIRO Real-Time Traffic, I'm Lori.
Thank you, Lori. Your forecast now is brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Very nice afternoon, sunny skies, some high clouds, and temperatures right around 60 for the high. Right now, 55 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Aaron Granillo, KIRO News Radio.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Spike O'Neill. Mike Lewis sitting in for Jake Skorheim this week. We've had a lot of fun this week so far. This is a story that popped up last week, and it really is a kind of a gut-wrenching story that just makes your stomach hurt. It's about an Ole Miss, University of Mississippi, freshman student, female student, who was living, her best life. First-year business school student, dating another Ole Miss student. and just, what you hope for your kids as they grow into young adults and leave the nest and go off to college. And then someone started a horrible, vicious social media rumor about this young woman that she had sex with her boyfriend's father. There was nothing to this rumor. But as social media does, and people love to be the first with the wrong information and spread bad news whenever possible, this thing caught fire on social media to the point where photos from this young woman's various other social media accounts were used. Her picture was posted. AI was used to generate untoward images of her. This story started gaining traction and caught fire. When it was picked up by an ESPN broadcast talent, we've all heard the name Pat McAfee, former punter in the NFL, big personality, very freewheeling type of a show, has a show, very popular. And he and his show picked up this story and ran with it to their millions and millions of followers on not just ESPN, but social media as well. And they poked fun. They made fun of this story. They promoted it. And this girl's life was just decimated, ruined to the point where she had to leave school, started taking classes remotely, couldn't be seen on campus, now has retained legal representation. There's potential of a lawsuit against ESPN and Pat McAfee for spreading this rumor. Now, when Pat McAfee does shit, it's a very irreverent show. He's that's the attraction of Pat McAfee. And I enjoy watching, I'm not a dedicated follower of this, but I've enjoyed seeing segments of his show. He does a feature during NFL games where he'll have an alternate broadcast from the sidelines with his cohorts. And they give more around the bar table kind of takes on the game and commentary of the game as it goes on. McAfee opens every one of his shows with this disclaimer, and I'll quote it verbatim. The following program, it says warning, big red letters. The following program is a collection of stooges talking about happenings in the sports world. It is meant to be comedic informative. The opinions expressed on the show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their bosses, or ESPN. There may be some cuss words because that's how humans in the real world talk. If you're young, please seek permission before watching any further. Cheers, The Pat McAfee Show. P.S. Please don't sue us. Now, I got to ask both Laura and Mike what you think of this, because it's a privilege to be able to share your thoughts with an audience. It's a privilege to broadcast in any medium, on any form. And I think with that comes a responsibility. And as off the cuff and as irreverent and as fresh and new and, a little bit crazy Pat McAfee is with his takes, I think to take a story like this and use it for fun. They tried to roll in, well, what's a quarterback at Ole Miss? How's he involved? How's it going to affect his draft status? They're trying to make jokes about this horrific story that was unvetted by them and, sure, fun to talk about. Isn't there a sense of accountability and responsibility by these guys and this network to allow this type of unvetted story to be broadcast to such a broad audience?
Well, I mean, so the defense on this would be, one, he didn't say her name. And I'm not justifying this. I'm just telling you what the legal defense is going to be. A lot of what they say on those shows is he did say alleged. I mean, now I know that these sound like I'm hair splitting, but I'm not, because that's literally what would be cited in court.
Right.
The same defense they would use, the defense Shannon Sharpe used when Brett Favre tried to sue him over saying, when Brett was caught up in that scandal, fairly serious one, I think it really harmed his reputation, that they were getting in Mississippi, his foundation was getting enormous amounts of money from the state that they were then funneling into building a gym at
his daughter's college.
Yeah, I remember
the story. It was COVID funds that were being misappropriated and redirected to his kid's college.
And this was that Shannon Sharpe said he was taking money from people who needed it.
Yeah.
This is the same defense they mounted, and this lawsuit was unsuccessful. It was dropped. So should Pat McAfee bear some weight for this? So setting aside whether you should bear some legal weight, I don't understand why people aren't more personally responsible, especially when they know all they have to do is reference something. And even without even referencing it, without a name, their army of mostly young men are going to go out. They're going to hunt down photos. They're going to post on social media. They're going to create the weather system that is going to then, out this young woman in a manner when the claims were false, but not only false, they were damaging. And that's the type of stuff that lives on. We all know that nothing ever dies on the internet. When you're out there and you're looking for internships and someone says, wow, she seems great, but gosh, I don't know. Like, look at this. Maybe it wasn't true, and maybe I shouldn't be thinking about it. But we have another candidate who doesn't have this background, online. Why don't we just go with that person? I mean, there's all kinds of that sort of quiet harm that you don't even know about that can happen from this. And I don't know why, given that information on that show is not why they're highly rated, why you just don't stand down sometimes. Why a producer on the show says, let's take a pass on this one. Seems kind of spurious, seems potentially damaging to someone. We don't know. And it's not anything that we need to build this show's brand.
Right.
I don't understand why they just don't volunteer to. And if you don't have anything legal repercussions, there is not the guardrails that will be there, even when their own moral judgment is lacking. So on this particular one, as a person who grew up writing for newspapers, some of those protections are really important. Because it's not always going to be an 18-year-old girl who was whipsawed by this sort of thing. Sometimes it's going to be a government official or someone of means who's going to Hulk Hogan and Gawker Media. It's going to be someone of means who can actually destroy a news organization or an organization for bad reasons as well. On this particular one, my reflexive thing is I feel terrible for the girl, and it shouldn't have happened, and I hope that she sues. And I hope that there's some sort of standard that she gets, or at least if she sues and they settle out of court, ESPN itself will put those regulations in, at least as it relates to ESPN.
Moving
because
forward,
they don't want to pay for that anymore.
And maybe have a standard. When you're allowing someone to have the platform of your platform, of ESPN, to go out there and make content and generate money for the company. Freedom of speech isn't freedom from consequence.
Look at the Dominion lawsuits. There's all kinds of evidence of why you do need to be able to sue. And there's also just as much as why some of these lawsuits should be prevented.
I think there should be consequence for the people who spread the information, not just Pat McAfee. The people of his little minion army who got out there and dug the dirt up on this poor young innocent women.
Many of them anonymous. So where do we go?
How are their resumes not impacted? How are their job interviews not going to be the ones that are thrown aside when this girl is the one who's going to suffer the consequences of their actions?
Old Miss fan on your side on the Pat McAfee show. I don't know. I don't know how you find that person.
I would just hope that anybody who has the privilege of speaking to an audience
I agree 100%.
A little more conscience, a little more morals, I should say, excuse me. All right, when we come back, we'll talk about your take on our subjects of the day, your text to the show, 888-973-5476. We'll have the best of those right after these.
Here it comes, the second huge online equipment auction of the year, produced by the James G. Murphy Company. Bidding starts at 10 a.m. Thursday, April 10th, and closes at 10 a.m. Wednesday the 17th. Over 800 items are on the block, including heavy equipment, trucks, and logging gear, including a 2016 Linkbelt 210 XT TLN log loader, a 2014 CAT 320 DFM log loader, and a 2014 Komatsu 931.1 forwarder. If you're looking for construction equipment, we got 16 excavators, 5 wheel loaders, 4 backhoes, and 2 pavers. Plus, there's a great selection of 12 late model dump trucks, including 5 Peterbilt 367s from model year 2013 to 2020. Check out all this gear in person during inspection days, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tuesday the 15th and Wednesday, April 16th at our Marysville location. Bidding starts 10 a.m. Thursday. For pictures and all details, check out murphyauction.com. That's murphyauction.com.
Sharp Vision Modern LASIK and Lens has given me back clear vision. The process was simple and easy. I scheduled my free consultation and discovered I was at the early stage of cataracts and a perfect candidate for RLE. They restored clarity and brightness to my vision like when I was in my 20s, and I'll never need readers again and never develop cataracts. Sharp Vision, modern LASIK and lens are taking RLE surgery to the next level. Call them now at 425-451-2020 or go online to sharp-vision.com, official eye care provider of Sounders FC.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Announcing the Million Hour Volunteer Rally. G here, join me, Safeway and Albertsons, and donate your time and skills to support local food banks and host food drives or fundraisers. You can win free groceries for a year and a $5,000 donation to your favorite hunger relief agency. Visit albertsons.com/volunteer to learn more. Find volunteer opportunities and log your hours. 1,000,000 hours will help create food secure communities. Visit albertsons.com/volunteer.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, I'm Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft, and we've got an offer you're not going to want to wait for. We'll custom build you all new cabinet doors and drawer fronts, and using our exclusive 1/4-inch solid wood refacing process, transform your existing cabinets into a beautiful new kitchen. Add a custom quartz countertop, change things up a bit, add some more cabinets, install some cool new features like soft close drawers and sliding shelves. Whatever you like, we'll help you create the new kitchen you'll be proud of. All in about a week, and all with way less mess, hassle, and expense than a tear-out. Stop waiting. We're having a trade-in sale. You'll save $30 per door and drawer front off the cost of your new kitchen. Count them up and see how much you'll save. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Call today and let one of our pros come out and show you how easy and comfortable it'll be to get going on your new kitchen. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600, 425-485-1600, or heritagehomecraft.com.
With Amazon Business, smart business buying tools enable buyers to find and purchase items fast. Free up your teams and focus on your future. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Charlie Harger here. When your hot turns to cold, you better think fast. Fast water heater. Call 1-800-THINK-FAST. That's 1-800-THINK-FAST or fastwaterheater.com.
You better think fast. Fast water heater.
I've always been an athletic guy, but after turning 40, I noticed I was slowing down. I booked a free testosterone check with Revive Health and learned that low T doesn't just impact my performance in the bedroom. I've been following a custom treatment plan ever since, and today I'm feeling stronger and more confident than ever.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, text BOOST to 65555 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com to schedule your appointment. Message and data rates may apply. Message frequency varies. Text help for help. Text stop to cancel. See privacy policy at ReviveMen'sHealth.com/privacy policy. For info on how opt-in info will be used and terms and conditions at ReviveMen'sHealth.com/terms of use for terms of short code service.
Welcome back, everybody. You know, every day we ask you to text in your thoughts on the subjects of the day that we cover on our show, and you've done a great job as always. numerous texts on many of the topics we covered during the show today. Laura, why don't you begin us with the text of the day there?
On tax for dating apps to fund domestic violence prevention, Jamestown says, it's funny. Why haven't these apps opted into this sooner on their own? Like how you can donate to a local food bank when you're checking out a QFC.
Interesting idea. On speed cams coming to our highways, Ryan in the 253 says, never paid a traffic cam ticket. It doesn't take it says never paid. Well, yeah. It doesn't take a driver picture, and they do not know who was driving. Ticket dismissed. Am I reading that right?
You are reading that right. He's essentially saying, I've never done it. They don't know who was driving. Tickets get dismissed. I mean, I guess reflexively, maybe that's what the software does when you put that stuff in. Maybe they just don't push. I've always paid them, but he is offering a workaround.
There you go.
From the 425, I just wish they would make the ticket fee high enough to be an actual deterrent.
We were just talking about this the other day with income-based ticket fees.
Yeah,
right?
They do. They're trying it in San Francisco or in California. They do it in Europe in certain areas.
Right.
Mike, what do you think about that? If a guy's got millions and millions of dollars, and he can afford to just pay whatever ticket, is an income-based percentage ticket enough of a deterrent?
Well, because I used to work for someone who would use the HOV lane illegally and made enough money that he was like, when I get caught, that's just the fee I'm paying.
Right. That's just essentially.
It meant nothing to him.
It becomes a turnpike for him, like
Yeah.
a toll road, right? So what do I think about that? I mean, I think I think there's some merit in that. I would say this, though. Right now, there's a controversy at the federal level regarding the IRS starting to share information with ICE regarding the tax status of people who might be in the country illegally. The tax information has always been kept sort of sacrosanct, right? Like separate from the law enforcement couldn't easily access it unless there was an actual open investigation. So making like all of your tax information available to every police
Traffic
department.
cops. Yeah.
Is it worth a lower ticket?
I am
fee?
not, or a higher one for
Yeah.
someone else. I am
For
not
me, it would
sure.
be lower.
For you, it would be lower. I
They
am not
pay
sure
you.
I would want to go there.
I think I'm with you. That's a good argument. Laura?
On blindingly bright headlights, 425 says, OMG, yes, the lights are blinding. I am only 39 and getting terrified to drive at night.
From Doug in Shoreline, I use yellow glasses at night, and that helps. I've started doing that on my bicycle and motorcycle as well, and it does help.
Oh, interesting. Cletus from Federal Way says, remember how 20 years ago, if you put off-road light bulbs on your motorcycle or car, you'd get tickets instantly. You also see cars driving around with red headlights or blue headlights, green headlights. The police simply don't pull people over for obvious infractions anymore.
I think that's true. On braces being a trendy fashion statement from Jason and Mukiltea, orthodontist here. Beyond the trend, many adults are choosing braces over the clear aligners because the clear aligners don't work the same. And I have some headgear here at my office with Mike's name on it. That could conceivably be my old headgear, which I never wore.
That's what he's saying. Benny, the tugboat expert, says kids called headgear alien hats way back when I was young.
Is that ever a thing for you guys? I've never heard that one before.
I have not heard that one before.
That's a good one. On Seattle PD disparaging the city on social media, Kara, the cleaning lady, says maybe the police have a little resentment for all the anti-police sentiment in the not-too-distant past.
Perhaps. On Canadians traveling to visit the U.S., from Cletus and Federal Way, Palm Springs has just started a campaign, including putting signs up around the city saying they love Canadians.
Brant in the 360 says, I'm encouraging Canadians and other foreigners not to visit the United States, to keep boycotting American goods and services, and to make Americans and Trump realize how much foreign dollars really do contribute to the American economy.
On deep fakes. Gary, a deep fake from Gary. A deep fake that appears as a political cartoon, not a problem. A deep fake that appears to intentionally damage an individual, criminal.
360 says those commercials with Kelly Clarkson eating keto gummies to lose weight are totally fake. She never used them. The gummies were never on Shark Tank either. This is what the AI law should help with, false advertising.
Amen to that. Josh in Auburn says, I just recently watched a clip on IG of AI having J.D. Vance.
How many acronyms?
Wow. J.D. Vance dumped Cheetos all over Trump, and Trump was just eating and rubbing the orange all over his face. It was hilarious, and I'm here for it. Hopefully, that kind of thing stays.
On LeBron James Kendall from Mike and Edmonds. Well, my question is the LeBron Kendall, is it also missing something like the regular Kendall?
Ouch! Dang. Doug in Mount Vernon says LeBron Mansion comes with an optional brawny shed.
That's actually kind of funny.
Brutal.
And Barbara says, I gave my granddaughter Sue Bird Barbies. I'm glad to know that exists, Barbara. That's so great.
Very, very nice. All right, guys, thank you so much for taking part in the show today. We'll be back tomorrow. Mike Lewis will be back as well. John Curley's in next. Thanks for being a part of this.
KIRO News Radio, your home for the John Curley Show.
Admitting fault should take things back to neutral. Right. Okay, I was wrong, got it. And then at least it puts out the fire. Right? But if not, that smoldering small little coal is still hot and can be used again and again and again against you. But politics, they never admit it. Mistakes were made. They speak in the passive voice. Yeah.
You can subscribe to podcasts at mynorthwest.com.
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
If you've been in an auto accident, you have the right to take your vehicle to any repair facility. Accurate Auto Body has been family owned and operated since 1994, and they work for you, not your insurance company. Your insurance company may not love them, but you will, because
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But this one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number. $100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. Oh, one last number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Listen up, fellow Gen Xers.